my life mottos: undercommit and overdeliver. But that is it for this case. And
so you're a commitment phobe?
No, I'm not a commitment phobe. I'm a success phobe.
That's not how you say that.
It sounds okay to me. But
so
anyway,
you're afraid of success?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Afraid of committing to success. But anyways,
okay.
We appreciate you guys, and let us know what you think. All right, what is going on, everybody? Brendan here, your favorite success phobe and Thought Riot podcaster, bringing it hot on the true crime talk show. Welcome, everybody. I always try to give everybody just a little bit of time to come on in. Some people have a little bit of lag on the videos. I know that sometimes commercials come up and things like that. I hope the commercials are getting better. I have literally had to go into every single video and reduce the commercials. And even our so previously our breaking news stories are roughly about 10 minutes, 10, 11, 12, maybe at the most like 15 or 16 minutes. And those videos are getting ads on there once every 2 minutes. I don't get it. Like, that is so...
All of YouTube is like that right now.
It's so many ads, and I just don't understand. Gosh, maybe YouTube's going to stop suggesting our videos if I mess with it too much, but I feel bad. I don't want people to have to go through that stuff. I don't want people to have to get 2 minutes of content. That is like the opposite of assisting in a think tank in ideas. You know what I mean? You need to be able to get your zone on. It's been proven time and time again that the most successful place to have like a think tank is the ability to think unhindered, right? So you can't feel restrained, you can't feel restricted, you can't have anything that's pulling your attention away from the topic that you're trying to think about. And commercials literally do the opposite of that. But so anyways, welcome everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We have the documents here and we're going to pull them up because they are long. There's a whole bunch of them. And I was actually taking notes this time while we were watching it to go over it. So for those of you that are hopping on here that didn't watch the premiere in the Thought Riot podcast, worldwide premium double feature premiere product produced by yeah, I don't...
He's salesmanning you.
I don't have any more P's. But anyways, the video that everybody just watched, all right. We talked briefly and got sidetracked like normal, but that's okay. That's literally the best outcome for any think tank situation. But we got sidetracked in it, but we were trying to go through the Pennsylvania warrants, right? The arrest warrant, the search warrant, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And I was able to look at the PCA in a different light. And part of the reason why I was reading it again is because there's a whole other page on there that is not included in the Idaho PCA. And it looks like it should be, but it's specifically talking about electronic devices and asking the judge if they can have the authority to force somebody to unlock their phone, which number one, clearly those officers don't have like a ton of experience into investigation, because that is not something that you can do. Actually, make sure you guys hit that like button and leave a comment in the video. We appreciate you for that. It goes a long way. And it looks like we're off to a little bit slower start tonight, so that will help. That will definitely help. So going back into it with the PCA, there were quite a few things in there that aren't in the Brett Payne PCA, you know, and I thought that was really interesting. I thought that it helped me look at the PCA in a little bit of a different light. It made me wonder, are these details coming from the Brett Payne or Moscow, or are they coming from PA? And why that's important to me is they're highlighting specifically the electronic devices, meaning I believe there's very good evidence there that a lot of their investigation is hindering on the electronics.
Yep.
I think that it's very possible.
I think so too. I mean, I've kind of felt that way this whole time.
I mean, yeah, we have done a lot of videos on the electronics, so I agree with you. I think there's something there. I think that it's interesting, and I think that we're seeing people try and manage these things that don't have a lot of experience in it, which, like, dude, if I'm looking at this investigation from a cop's perspective, okay, and I didn't know every single thing about cell phones, tablets, computers, networks, wireless networks, the geolocation, data blending services, background application data, what's it called? Piggybacking, data piggybacking. If I didn't know those things, if I was one of those officers, my very first call would be to an expert who did know those things, and to hire them as a subcontractor to come into my investigation and walk me through what I need to be walked through.
Yeah. There's a reason that investigators usually do use experts.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like they did.
No.
At least in the evidence that we have so far.
No, it doesn't seem like in the investigation phase they were using too many experts for, I mean, specifically the cell phone data.
Yeah.
Because like for the canvassing and like the video surveillance and the car, like they say they used FBI experts for all that stuff. But when we're talking about the cell phone, it's Brett Payne is literally saying he did it after consulting with somebody on the phone.
I know, and that's insane. That is absolutely insane. And I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. It is absolutely insane. And there is no one in the world, you guys, nobody. If you don't have any network experience, with my 15 plus years of network experience, I could not call you right now and walk you through it. It is impossible. Absolutely impossible. We would have to do 10 hours of, like, okay, here's an example. So if I didn't get hired into my previous positions, I grew from inside the company, okay? But if somebody got hired into my position, you know how long the training alone is?
How long?
12 weeks. 12 weeks for the training alone.
Okay, then what comes after the training? Because you're saying the training alone.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to stand on your own 2 feet in network technology is, an extensive training. 12 weeks is a long time.
3 months, yeah.
There's very few professions out there that you're being brought in that have trainings of that length. I mean, police are one of them, but that's because it's not like you can have any experience before coming in there other than military. So I get that. Then you have lifestyle professions like your lawyers, your doctors, people like that, but like other
You're talking about when you're being hired.
correct, but other careers, when you're being hired into a corporate company, there are very few trainings that are 12 weeks long. And I'll tell you, when I was hired into this, I got hired into a middle management position. Okay, so should I share that? So the first time I came into network technology, I got hired in as I'll just say it this way, as a district manager. So I was over, a couple hundred people the first time that I got hired in. And after my training, which was extensive, I still didn't feel like I knew what was going on with technology and in my company for at least another year minimum. I probably didn't actually know what was up without having to call someone every day for 2 years. So just to give a comparison into how unlikely it is for Payne to say he called somebody and was like, "Yo, walk me through this leading edge technology and tell me how to connect these dots." It's just not possible.
Well, also on top of that, he was only with Moscow PD for 2 years, and they never had an investigation to this magnitude where they had the FBI involved needing, cell phone tower triangulation. I would assume, based off the history of this town and how long he's worked for them, and him not seemingly being the lead on an investigation like this before, it doesn't really make sense that he would even have any background knowledge in that. Like, he was in the military
There's no
before,
way.
he was
There's
in
no
the
way.
then the police, he was there for 2 years, so it doesn't seem like he would have any, you know, knowledge base in network technology
Mhm.
that then consulting with a CAS expert just over the phone would just be enough for him to do it himself.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody who literally has no idea about this, other than that you can triangulate through cell phones. I
Yeah.
mean, that you can do it, and is just on the phone with somebody trying to do something that is incredibly complex. Like, it's not simple.
No.
It's not as simple as looking at the towers and, like, reading some data points.
Yeah.
It's not that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I don't want to get too lost down into the science. One thing I do want to comment though, but before we continue into the conversation is Catacomb had mentioned that he wished that more people were talking about police not being able to make mistakes. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is we just did, not last week, but the week before, we did a whole week on police corruption. Every single video that came out was about police corruption and highlighting specific cases and specific behavioral traits in police. And I agree with you. I think it is very problematic that police cannot admit fault in a lot of situations. We just talked about this last night, actually. And I think it's interesting that, last night our content got flagged by LDS Associates. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
LDS?
Mhm.
The church?
Yes, the church.
We
Yes.
didn't talk about anything LDS
Yeah,
related.
I got you. So they targeted the science video.
What science
Yeah,
video?
where it said, so we played a video last night, you guys, because we have been talking about objectivity and subjectivity, and I won't forget my previous what I was talking about. But so we had been highlighting objectivity and subjectivity and how important it is to determine the difference between those two simple differences of opinion and perception when you're
And
looking into a case. And there
scientific fact and hypothesis and theory and all of that.
yeah, and within that, if you go a little bit deeper, we gave a breakdown of exactly what Malia just said. Essentially, within scientific objectivity and subjectivity, you break it down into facts, which are the least believed part of science because facts are inherently subjective. Then facts can be turned into a hypothesis, which can be turned into a theory. And what stemmed all of this was the fact that I have such an issue that theory is a bad word in the true crime community and in society in general, because theory is actually what every scientist in the world strives their thoughts to turn into. And it is such a privilege and such a hard thing to get to a point of having your ideas be called a theory that it's literally offensive when theory is looked at as a bad word. And then we also covered law as well. But we played something last night with these doctorate level scientists. They're leading scientists in their in their focuses, in their scientific focuses. I don't remember all of them, but it was like theoretical something. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but these three scientists were just proving that point, because we had a lot of people argue against us that no, that's not how it works. A fact is always truth, and it's not actually. It is absolutely not. So we showed that, and yeah, they highlighted that, and for whatever reason, LDS doesn't like science, so yeah, I just cut it out. I don't care. It didn't mean anything. I'm just not going to leave it in there so that they make money off of our stuff. So, but ridiculous, right?
It's not theirs to copyright.
Yeah, but I'm not
You realize when you challenge it, if they don't have a real case, they drop it.
yeah, I get it. I get it, but I don't want to go into all that. There's a lot of background information that when you challenge something, it automatically affects your views and your ranking for level of visibility. And so I don't challenge stuff unless it's targeting our content. But Marietta, what do you mean I'm a good actor? Yeah, I wish I could say I'm acting, but my weirdness is all authentic, unfortunately.
I saw
But
Marietta said earlier that 12 weeks was nothing for training.
yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're looking at it, though. It's a lot. It's a long time for a position, for a hired position. But yeah,
Yeah, we're not speaking like, cause sure, you could talk about like a trade school where you have to go for like 2
right.
years. That's not that's not a hired position where you're being hired, so you have to go do this training for 2 years. It's
That's more like a lifestyle.
you do the training to get a job.
Yeah.
This is you get the job and then have to go through 3 months of training.
Right, right. And there's no technical schools that I know of where you can go for network, mainly because network is such it is such a hidden industry, you guys, where everything that we do in anything network related is proprietary information. It is not allowed. Like, one thing I could tell you is my position I'm in, I absolutely could see all the juicy details of all things technology and network related around Moscow, but I would also get in trouble for that. That information and data is so protected, and they do not play around with that. If you were to misstep and do something wrong in that nature, you're gone. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lawsuit following too, because of how competitive that industry is. Um, but yeah. So yeah, going back to the Pennsylvania PCA, what did you find interesting in it?
Well, everybody kept saying that there was a document out there, and I wasn't sure which one people were referring to, saying that the or not the search warrant, the PCA was sealed. Um, and it says that in here. So clearly it's not sealed anymore because we're seeing it. And it's within this document, and this document is out, and the probable cause affidavit is in this document, and then also the attached basically PCA exhibit of, probable cause affidavit of Brett Payne. Um, they're both in there. So I think I just feel that it confirmed what I thought all along, that Exhibit A statement of Brett Payne was a probable cause affidavit made to be an exhibit attached to another state's probable cause affidavit to get a warrant.
Yeah, and that could be part of the reason why that could be part of the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing with that. I think that's a really good point for sure. That's why it says exhibit at all, right? So, and what's interesting is in our videos that we recorded, we actually recorded yesterday's video and today's video back to back. So we were able to kind of play off of that information that you laid out first, talking about the PCA and the information of what exactly a PCA is. And then we were able to look at the Pennsylvania PCA, talking about directly talking about the exhibit from Moscow, which further emphasized your point on exactly what a PCA was. So a lot of people like to say, well, there's a big possibility that that the PCA is not the actual document or does not have the actual evidence. However, what you stated proves that it does meet all the requirements. Just because it doesn't say PCA at the top, it is an under oath document making a commitment and statement about a singular suspect with the intent of either search or arrest.
Well, it's showing probable cause and summarizing the evidence against that defendant.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It does absolutely meet all of the requirements of a PCA.
Yeah. Yep.
It just isn't a traditional outline like we've seen in the past. But like I said yesterday, I believe that is because it was made to be attached.
One thing we need to pull up is I would love to see an application for a search warrant or a search warrant and what that would look like from Idaho when it's not an exhibit based PCA that's being used to submit. You know what I mean? Do their regular application for search warrants and whatnot look similar to this? You know what I mean?
Like
because that
a
exhibit's very
warrant.
loosely laid out.
So you're saying look at other search warrants that have an attached PCA?
Correct. Yep. Correct.
Okay. Well, I think it would be different.
Yeah, it
would be different.
Very probable.
It would be different because I think, like I said before, it's non-traditional and it was made to be an exhibit to be attached to Pennsylvania's PCA and search warrants. In Idaho, they would only have one PCA for that case if the defendant is there in the state. It wouldn't have to be an exhibit attached to a PCA for a search warrant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what we're seeing here.
Right. Yeah, and what's interesting with the Pennsylvania piece, the Pennsylvania application for search warrant is it lays out all the code, the codes and rulings that apply to this document, which is really helpful when I was reading it and wanted to understand exactly what was going on here. So, what I was thinking when we were going through this document is there are so many people out there that have this emotional need for Bryan Kohberger to be innocent or guilty, okay? And I want to say both of that because I do think that people have that incorrectly on both sides of the aisle. I think there are people that need him to be innocent to a detrimental level. I think there are people that need him to be guilty to a detrimental level. So when I'm looking at this, you know, they keep wanting people that believe he's guilty, keep wanting to highlight these things in the case that, in my opinion, don't add any value to the potential of him being guilty. And then I see things where they're missing things that could add value to him being guilty. And one of those things is the zippers in a baggie.
Zippers in a baggie.
Yeah,
That's not what it was.
Yes, there were 2 zippers or whatever in a baggie, a pink zipper and a green zipper. If I was someone that needed to believe he was guilty,
what? Those are plastic Ziploc bags,
Oh.
and they're saying the zip on top is pink. The zip on top of the bag is that color.
Oh, duh. So it's a pink and green zip tie, like the top of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
The Ziploc
Okay.
top is
Got
pink.
It.
The
Got
other
it.
Ziploc top is green.
Got it.
I can't believe you confused that.
What do you mean? This is horrible writing.
What? It's a Ziploc bag with pink zipper.
I confuse stuff all the time. But okay, that makes more sense. So, then yeah, I don't really see anything in here other than like a shovel, you know, that looks guilty.
Yeah, but
Which
so
I get is subjective, you guys. Like,
it is.
understand, I am looking at this intentionally
Wait,
subjective.
so you don't think Goggles was weird? Because I thought Goggles was a little weird. Why does he have goggles in his car?
Not so I did think about Goggles, but
They
thought
took his brake pedal. Oh my gosh, he looks so guilty. He has a brake pedal.
well, I think it's smart to take his brake pedal. That's what I would expect. And to be honest, I really hope that when they took apart his car, they took out his air filters.
Yeah.
But the goggles, he's a college student and he's going through criminal investigation classes. I would assume there's some science behind that, right?
Sure.
And involved in science, a lot of times you need to control so there's no cross contamination, and one of those ways is wearing goggles.
Yep.
So because I did think about the goggles, but then I thought of that. So
they don't name anything in the Ziploc bags. Notice that swabs are listed. I'm assuming that is swabs they took of the car. And I know that we had an argument a while back saying swabs were not considered physical evidence, but they absolutely are. And that's literally proof. Gloves, receipts, car insurance
so you
card.
think that they swabbed his car there?
Oh yeah, why else would it say swabs?
Well, because they took his car from here to be dug into. We know that. They took his
but they
car.
also took initial things. Like, if they were going to take his car to have it dug into, then why'd they take the brake and the gas pedal?
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So
Okay.
they definitely swabbed, and they took his brake and his gas pedal and anything they saw that they thought was important that they wanted to get, into evidence right away and tested. And then, yeah, I'm sure they took his car and really went through that thing.
Yeah.
Like the floor mats and all of that.
I mean,
Then
I hope so. I really hope
And I was
so.
joking. I was trying to make a funny about the brake pedal. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he has a brake pedal in his car.
Yeah, I got you.
Comfort in room key holder, stay information. What is that? Tire iron? Oh, that's super guilty.
Yeah.
Shovel, goggles. So the shovel, I heard explained that it makes sense actually for him to have a shovel in his trunk living in Idaho and Washington, like being in that area because of like the snow and getting stuck and stuff.
I mean, bro, we're in the Chicago area and people don't walk around with shovels in their car.
How would you know?
What do you mean?
You don't ever see in people's trunks of their cars to see if they have a shovel?
Yeah, but I am like always out and about.
You know, I
Everywhere.
saw a guy when that major blizzard hit, like I bet he wished he had a shovel because
But did he have a shovel?
no.
Okay.
But he also just moved here.
I just okay. Like I hear you. I just don't think it's that common.
Look, Marietta always has a shovel in her truck.
Yeah, I think
it's not that weird is all I'm saying.
I think prepper type people, not like to be
He's a reflective vest, Brendan. Come on, he has a reflective vest. And a wrench and a tire iron and like he is a prepper clearly.
Yeah, I think you're right. If he has a reflective vest, because I could see him getting like a flat tire and putting on his reflector vest and the goggles just to light the flare. You know what I mean? Okay, fair.
He even has physical maps. That's pretty incredible for this day and age. For a young person, like he's not super young, like what, 29? That's like grew up in the technology era, and a lot of people that age don't really think about those things.
Yeah,
which isn't very
weird.
Isn't very smart.
Yeah, especially since
I should have a map in my car.
No.
Yeah.
Maps works without connection. So like I guess if you plan on breaking your phone, you should have a map in your car. Otherwise, there's no reason to have a map anymore. You don't need network connection to have a map.
Okay, but what if your phone's dead?
Then you plug it in.
What if you don't have a charger?
You just make sure you have a charger, not a map.
What if your charger breaks?
So I'll tell you that with chargers, that is my like pet peeve. I put all my chargers and I get enough chargers. I don't have, but I'm a tech guy. I get enough chargers that I don't have to take one with me anywhere. I put one at my work. I put one next to my bed. I put one in all places that, you know, I know that I might need it.
Exactly. And he's a time traveler. That's it.
A time traveler?
No, Kohberger is.
Oh.
What does that say? It says Band-Aid.
But yeah, I just don't think people need maps anymore. But you know,
I disagree.
I believe in technology evolution, and I just think anything paper related and anything like that, we've created tools where that's not needed
until
anymore.
We get hit by a solar flare. Then everybody is screwed.
Why? I could still charge technology.
No, it causes a massive EMP and destroys all tech that exists.
I mean, not really the tech, but I think the batteries.
It fries everything, yeah.
It discharges the battery charge, but that doesn't mean that you can't charge it back.
What?
Yes.
I don't remember all of the science behind that, but I've heard that it could literally take out the grid. Like completely.
It can.
To where it's over.
It can. I'm pretty sure because it disperses any energy charge. I don't have the exact science right now, but I'm pretty sure that it disperses any energy because like, let's say someone set off an EMP and I can make an EMP. I can literally make an EMP right now in this house with just the things that I have here. But
don't explain how to do that.
I won't. When it goes off, it doesn't ruin all the electronics. It just disperses the battery charge.
Okay, but what about like a super massive one from a solar flare?
I still don't think it's going to ruin all your electronics.
Okay.
It depends on how you have your electronics set up. Like all my electronics are set up in a way where like that can't happen.
Yeah, you always got paper to start a fire if the map isn't helpful.
Look, I'm not arguing. This is just my opinion, and I personally just don't believe we need it. But if you feel comfortable, I think people should do whatever makes them most comfortable.
So you see after Band-Aid, it says wrapped. What does that mean?
Wrapper?
Oh, it's just a wrapper?
I think so. Probably like a food wrapper or something.
What kind of documents?
Yeah, I
And
don't
what
know.
is
It could be school.
what is a seat belt boot?
I believe a seatbelt boot is either the padding that goes on over the crossbody part, or there is this waistband area that makes it fit like a little bit better, that goes at the clip in part.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes, yes. I found it super interesting. Okay.
Where's the
So
itemized list from his family home?
this is everything that they were approved to look for. So blood, bodily fluid, materials, or anything having to do with it, knives, sheaths, other weapons, anything instrumentally that could cause injury, death, or harm, documents, records, medications, drugs, or any other substances, including all items that could that you could use to inject that into your body, whether swallowing, needle, things like that. Any property related to Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, documents, records. Sorry, I was just looking back up at this part because they're not allowed to ask for medical documents. So I was just making sure that wasn't on there. Any documents related to 1122 King Road, clothing. So any dark clothing or any clothing, or shoes with a diamond pattern, anything DNA related and all things having to do with it. 4 samples of Bryan Kohberger's DNA by buccal swab taken from the inside of Bryan Kohberger's mouth, or blood samples. Alcoholic beverages, other intoxicants, or receipts for the same. Whoa, okay. That's a strange one.
What is
Uh,
it?
yeah, alcoholic beverages? What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
Data compilations relating to or containing information indicating, suggesting, or relating to violence, specifically stabbing, a fight, hostility, or anything related. That includes all media, tapes, photographs, electronic devices. All electronic devices, including all communications. Look, and this is the biggest one here. I'm telling you, there's something electronic that they either believed would lead them to him or have evidence suggesting that. All electronic devices, including all communications content, including email, text, SMS, MMS, or app chats, applications, cloud storage, notes, or voicemail, including attachments, sources, and destination addresses, time and date information, connection logs, images, and any other records, including can't tell what that says, including the use, ownership, possession, or control of such communication or information found. All location data for the above, which may be stored in GPS locations or cellular tower connection data, including metadata of photos or social networking posts, Wi-Fi logs, and data associated with installed applications, all photographic, video, audio data, and associated metadata, all internet history for the above, including cookies, bookmarks, web history, and search terms, all stored IP addresses associated, all financial information related to the above, all of ownership and control for the data cellular device, such as device identification IDs, settings, data, address book, contacts, social network post, updates, tags, Wi-Fi network tables. So they focused on all things technology, live and deleted electronic user attribution data, historical event data, and all things included. And then indicia of is that a typo? of residency in or ownership or possession of the vehicle and any items above. So,
I believe it means like indication or something like that.
oh, indicative. Okay, I gotcha.
Indicia, yeah.
I gotcha.
Signs, indications, or distinguishing marks.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. But that is a heavy, heavy primary focus on technology.
Well, you know, I just saw somebody mention in the chat that they searched his parents' car first.
Well, I think this warrant gives them access to everything, including that little back shed area. So I think the police should have searched the parents' car because look, if I'm and
Yeah, it's important to cover all
here's our
bases.
statement that we always give, right? Everybody watching here, we are not bought into Bryan Kohberger being guilty. We are not bought into Bryan Kohberger being innocent. I have no idea. What I'm bought into and what I trust as science is objective facts or objective evidence to support subjective facts, and looking into and holding accountable our justice system to ensure that they're doing a job that is respectable, honest, and deserving of our justice system that we own. So our focus is on the investigation, not Bryan Kohberger. So when I'm looking at that, like, yeah, I really hope that they did a really thorough job investigating him, because if he's guilty and they have good evidence of it, they need to do an investigation that's worthy of a case that's this big.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. Did they confiscate his snacks?
I don't know.
Probably, but that would be devastating.
I would think so. But this is the PCA attached.
Right, but go up.
What?
To their PCA.
What? This?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the part that I found personally most interesting when you're reading over it, because of it talking about the Exhibit A statement of Brett Payne.
Yeah, yeah. It says literally right here. So just on this one, on Wednesday, December 28, 2022, the Pennsylvania State Police was requested to assist the Moscow Police Department, Moscow, Idaho, and Federal Bureau of Investigation with homicide investigation, which occurred on Sunday, November 13th, 2022. As a part of this investigation, we reviewed reports and affidavits prepared by Moscow Police Department establishing probable cause for issuance of search warrants related to this investigation, which are included in this affidavit of probable cause as Exhibit A.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that is that's a really great call out. Really is. But this is the part that I was telling you about. Okay, so this is they include the little bit of the wound description in this one. And then
What, is there more?
No, just oh, is there more to this? Yeah. But I don't know if
Is there more to the wound description?
No.
Oh.
No, I compared these side by side. Hang on here. Okay, so they go into a whole bunch of many electronic devices, particularly newer mobile devices and laptops, offer their users the ability to unlock the device through biometric features in lieu of numeric or alphanumeric passcode or password. These biometric features include fingerprint scanners, facial recognition features, and iris recognition features. Some devices offer a combination of these biometric features, and the user of such devices can select which features they would like to utilize. And they literally go through each one of these one by one of what a biometric scanner means, what an iris scanner means, what facial recognition means, and how to do it one by one.
Okay. Why does that matter?
I don't know. Why does it matter?
What does it say after they like, is there anything indicating why they're going through that before or after they explain it?
Mm-mm.
What?
Just that they want access to the devices. Weird, right? I don't want to go through all of it because I could sum up everything in 2 seconds. It literally is just talking about iris scanning and the types of phones that use iris scanning, facial recognition and the types of phones that use facial recognition, and then biometrics and the types of phones that use biometrics.
So right there, they're saying we want to force these open by
Correct.
using the person's finger or their face to unlock the
That's
device.
correct. That's exactly what they're saying.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Why are they mentioning that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why?
Yeah, to force it. They are saying that they want to force it.
I get it, but you include things that are pertinent to your investigation, not random theories.
You don't think getting into his phone is important to the investigation?
Not to the extent of including 2 additional pages in the PCA worth. No, I don't. I think that they have some kind of background evidence proving why they need to get in there, and I think this adds to the theory of them using fog data. I think that they already know there could be some evidence on there. Because otherwise, no, I don't believe that they would include this in this way.
Well, they also I mean, there was also all those rumors and there was the account, the Instagram account that Olivia Gonzalez found, which I don't think that's her last name anymore. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That she found that Instagram account she believed to be Bryan Kohberger's, but it's never been made official that it actually was. Like it could be things like that too, because clearly in the background app data, they've been trying to see. I feel when I look at all the search warrants into the background app data is they're trying to find that connection that isn't there. Like how did these victims get on his radar? How does he even know they exist? That's the impression I get.
And
So I'm wondering if that's what they were trying to do here is find it, and maybe they went through his phone and found nothing, so they started digging into background app data
so
to
I
see if
think
it
you're
was deleted.
I think you're onto something. I wanted to find this real quick because somebody in the chat asked what is fog data. Fog data is
I'll
a
link
video
I'll
that
link the video real quick.
that Malia covered a couple weeks ago, and it is the data that your applications on your phone use. So cell phone triangulation doesn't even need to be a thing anymore. It is unreliable and it's less commonly reliable than background application data. Background application data is like picture metadata, and applications like Spotify, applications like Twitter, and things of that nature. And that background application data actually identifies your GPS location better than cell phone triangulation does, which is why I said in the beginning that this is why I doubt this is why I approach everything in Brett Payne's PCA with a grain of salt, because of how the cell phone triangulation is talked about and how it is literally impossible for that to be real. It is not possible to do what they're claiming was done with that cell phone triangulation. However, I do think it's possible that they could locate someone with fog data science, which is the background application data. And I think somebody that wouldn't have a thorough understanding in the difference in background application data and cell phone triangulation would probably write a PCA acting or talking like they're the same thing. And that's my big question mark this whole time, is I don't think that a cast member was used. I think that background fog data science was used, and it located Bryan. And for what one thing or another, they believed Bryan's their guy. And Brett Payne's limited knowledge on the subject, he thought that background application GPS data is triangulation, and it is not.
Yeah, so the fog data science video, you guys, I ran across it, and I don't even remember what got me onto that. But I remember thinking, like really, really thinking about Bryan Kohberger and, you know, what he went to school for, and, you know, thinking about this background app data search warrants. And I was in that line of thinking, and somehow I found Fog Data Science, which is a company. And if you guys have not seen that video, you need to, because every citizen in the United States, and honestly the world, needs to know about it. That you, every time you download an app and you agree to the terms of service, you are agreeing not only for that app, and you say, yes, allow it to track me, even if you're only allowing it to track you when you're using the app. When you agree to that, it completely takes away your ownership of that data. It is now the company's data. They own it, and it goes to a data broker. They can sell it to whoever they want. And what Fog Data Science does, which is a company, is they buy all the raw geolocation data from these data brokers. They put it in a searchable database for law enforcement. And there are 18 state and federal and local jurisdictions that are using it, that have a subscription service to it, where they're paying annually to access this database. In this case, the reason I think that it was used in the Idaho 4 is because it seems like there was no other way for them to find Bryan Kohberger. With this, his phone was supposedly not connected to a tower, you guys, which means when they pulled all of that information to try to find who was out that night, he should not have popped up. He shouldn't have.
And they use that double negative in the PCA.
They literally say that in the PCA, that's how they got to him. But it's not possible if he wasn't connecting to a tower. So then when you go to the Fog Data Science, that's what makes sense, because
correct.
Because it's all background app data, and they could, if the FBI, the FBI was a part of this investigation, or say the ISP, they have a subscription service to this company, Fog Data Science, that gives Moscow the accessibility, and they can just say, okay, who was driving around in Moscow and Pullman, like within a 60-mile radius that night? And then they can see where, if these devices traveled anywhere near the home, or if they were out like within a certain time period. And then they could highlight certain devices that they feel like could, possibly be suspicious. And then they could look at those devices. And the reason they say this isn't against our rights, okay, because they don't have to have a warrant to do any of this. They need no warrants.
I could do it right now.
Yeah, you could. So the reason they say it's not against our rights is because they don't give any identifying information. But the issue with that is that everybody is a creature of habit. And there was numbers that I pulled from this article that said they could identify people that they were tracking for at least 15 months just using 4 data points. So like your house, your work, the grocery store you go to, maybe your friend's house. Just using those 4 points, they could identify those people 95% of the time.
Yep.
So, I mean, because how many people have the same routine you do every day? How many people go to every single place, like your work, your house, everywhere, like who does that every day but you?
Yep.
Probably not even your husband or your wife or your kids probably don't even do that. It is incredible, but my issue is that they don't need a search warrant, and there's some major issues when it comes to pulling raw geolocation data like that and searching it. What if you were walking by a crime scene one day and the cops just decide you are suspicious because you were near there and you have to be the person, and they start
VPN
harassing
doesn't do
you?
anything.
Or what about if you were near a protest and they're deciding everyone who was at that protest was a criminal and you're targeted? Like, there are bad things that could come from it. So I don't think it's right. I don't think
No.
it's right at all. I think it's against our Fourth Amendment right.
You're asking really great questions, Catacomb. But yes, I agree with you.
Oh,
It
VPN
is,
wouldn't do anything. A VPN wouldn't even matter.
I agree with you that I think this is a breach of rights too. And the reason being is it is being used to identify somebody. If you're using data of any kind to identify somebody, then there needs to be a warrant, period. It needs to be a blanket statement. If you're using data to identify somebody, there has to be a warrant. Okay. However, I'm not talking about this case in particular to get Bryan Kohberger off, because if Bryan Kohberger's guilty, then I want him to hang, you know? But yes, a VPN doesn't work. And let me tell you why. We just had this big old argument on here
Yeah.
a while ago, because I told everyone in the chat that I can see where all of you are. I can see your addresses. I can see everything that has to do with your electronic devices. And it's true, because people think that a VPN hides your location. It does not. It hides your location from the data that's being transferred onto the internet specifically, okay? But your applications are using background GPS by geolocation blended data. And what that means is, so anything that's transmitting around you, okay? So let's say that you have a router and all your stuff is Wi-Fi. Okay, that counts as one. Let's say you have a wife or a husband there and they have a phone. Okay, let's say you have a kid, they have a phone and a tablet. What else? Let's say you have security cameras, right? 2 security cameras, those have antennas. What else? Smart TV, computers. What are some other ones people don't think of? Smart cars. All these things are technology.
Smart fridges.
Yes. And they all transmit data or receive data. Okay. Well, background application data will pick these things up. Your phone. So, what's a good way to give an example of this? No, not Alexa. It's not anything like specific, you guys. Not AirPods either. AirPods is a one-way connection. It's not focused on a network connection. But let's say an open tower is like a sponge. Okay, you could put any different kinds of liquids down and a sponge is going to suck all of them up the same, right?
It's sucking up data.
Exactly. Well, anything that has a network connection and an antenna does the same thing as what that sponge does. And it can't tell the difference between what it's absorbing until it starts computing those details. Once it starts computing those details, then your device is able to say, oh, you know, that doesn't apply to me. Bam. But everything on the internet stays on the internet forever. Okay. So your phone computed the fact that it recognized that it shouldn't be connecting to that, or there's a block on that, or whatever. Okay. That's data. That's data that can be tracked. It cannot be used to identify you, but it can be tracked. All right. So it'll go to a data broker like the background fog data science, and it will it'll pick up all these little things with blended GPS data, identify where your device is.
Yeah, and fog data science isn't.
I hope that makes sense, you guys.
Fog data science isn't a broker. They are a company that buys all of yours and mine, all of our raw geolocation data, and like I said, turns it into a database that is searchable
It
for
is.
police and law enforcement, and they pay a subscription fee. And it's a heck of a deal. From everything I was reading, is that it's a really good deal that they get this service for, and it helps them out a ton.
It helps everyone out a ton. As you guys know, and
But
you'll joke when I
think
say
it
it,
should be
like,
illegal.
I'm a salesman, right? What goes hand in hand with sales? Marketing and sales run the world, you guys. So, all that background application data is able to identify where you're at. Okay, so Apple is combating this right now, but let's say you're in the mall, okay, and you're walking down the mall with a friend and you're talking. Man, I love these new Fox motorcycle boots that I bought. They are awesome, and they bend at the ankle really easy. There's not a big break-in process, and your phone hears you talking, and all of a sudden it's picking up on like motorcycle boots at this store that is across the street from the mall where they sell these Fox motorcycle boots for 20% off. Okay, the way it knows how to do that is because it takes that geo blended data, that GPS data in the background, and searches where the closest dealer is that for the data that you're talking about, and then suggests that to you. So that is, I believe, how it all created from. And then these data broker dealers realized, like, whoa, we can get a whole bunch of more information from this. And then it's kind of evolved into what it is now. But
Yeah, I'm not 100% what you were trying to explain. You lost me. But
what do you mean? So
so
it
Catacombs asked.
suggests stores that are near you.
Right, I know that.
Yeah.
But so Catacombs asked, is the data just numeric identifiers?
I mean, everything is binary. So it depends on how macro or micro we're talking. So on a micro level, is all data binary? Yes, it's all binary. Does it what is it, transpond or whatever as binary code? No, it doesn't. We have so much software and applications now that, we don't have to have code writers for binary coding anymore. All of our software automatically creates software coding that bypasses any knowledge needed for binary anymore. But yeah, you're right. It does go, everything is binary. On the microest of micro levels, everything is binary
Yeah,
coding.
Cheryl, that's what Brennan was trying to explain, was that your phone is always listening, and these ads that what are they called, that track you to suggest ads to you?
What do you mean?
There's apps that track you.
All of your apps.
All of your apps track you, and your phone is also always listening.
Yeah.
And
Well,
hold on, and it suggests, and also it also accounts for anything you've searched, or even things you paused on when you were scrolling through Facebook or scrolling through Google. It's anything you stopped for a second to look at, and they notice, like, oh, you looked at that for this many seconds, which means you're interested in it. Or, oh, you breezed right past that, you only stopped for like a second, it means you're not interested in that. It's tracking all of these things, and what you're saying, and your location, and then it's suggesting ads to you. That's one of the biggest concerns with DNA right now too, is the fact that all of these companies are collecting people's DNA to give them their ancestry, but then are retaining the rights to owning that data, which is going to give them the ability to, like, suggest products to people in the future through genealogy. Essentially, is like, if, say, you got ancestry done, and then your DNA went in this big data bank, and then they in the future start suggesting certain types of supplements to your grandchild because they know that that grandchild is more at risk for a certain type of cancer or a certain type of disease. Like, that's all the things that are going on. And yeah, we don't have privacy anymore. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was going to try and prove you know, you can just talk into your phone and then it'll suggest Thought Riot podcast. But I'll do it later. I'll do it on a video. But if you guys haven't seen our cell phone, yeah, a flip phone doesn't cut in anymore. If you guys haven't seen our cell phone data videos and the GPS location, you should check it out. So look, I'm a tech advocate. I don't think we're ever going backwards. I don't care if there's a solar flare. It's just once we have this level of technology, we cannot go backwards. There is no going back. There is only going forward. So even with flip phones, okay? So we're about to turn off 4G network. It's planned in the next year that we're going to turn off the 4G network like we did with the 3G network 2 years ago. We are going to turn off 4G and primarily run on 5G and focus on you know, the next generation of 5G, which is ultra capacity, and the next generation is I don't remember if they're going to 6 or if they're skipping 6G or whatever. I forget right now. But that's going to get turned off. So with a flip phone, if you're on 5G, it doesn't matter what is on that phone. You're going to be a part of this background application data. There's no way around it. And I'm not saying that to scare everyone. I'm saying that because, as you guys know, we're an advocate for a fair justice system, an honest justice system, and a reliable, trustworthy, and you know, a representable justice system. And the only way to do that is to institute laws that make our justice system more reliable in that way. So I would advocate for your local I would advocate for your local politicians to push bills to not allow law enforcement to have access to these things in this nature. That's what I would do, because there's no way we're going back anymore, right? That just doesn't exist. And I apologize if this information is scary, but wouldn't you rather know, you know, the true crime talk show motto is, are you brave enough to think? I don't know about you guys, but I would rather know the truth and be able to manage that effectively than live in, you know, what's comfortable.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I said everybody needs to know about the fog data science video and that information that was presented in that video, because I think it's incredibly important to know and understand. It's also interesting when looking at the Idaho 4 crime and thinking about how, you know, they could have possibly tracked people in that area. My issue with fog data science is I think that it may give you where that person was that night, but it doesn't tell you what happened. So I think it could cause tunnel vision on a particular suspect. Like, what if Bryan Kohberger was really out driving that night and he drove by that neighborhood, but the actual killer didn't take their phone?
I have an even crazier theory for you.
But I think everyone needs to know, because it's important to know. And I also do feel like the fog data science thing is a violation of our rights, because it's being used by law enforcement without a warrant to identify people. It is being used to identify people, no matter how badly the company wants to claim that they don't provide any identifying information. If they're giving you your home address and your work address and all these places that you go regularly in your whole routine, that is identifiable information.
Yeah.
So I just don't agree with it. And ignorance may be bliss, but I'd rather know.
And we are halfway into and I'll get into the theory next. We're halfway into the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. We appreciate all of you for being here, and love your minds, love your thoughts, love your opinions, love your theories, and want them to keep coming. So keep giving them to us, and please, if you would, the biggest thing that you can do for us, the absolute biggest thing that you could do for us is hit that like button and leave a comment on the video. Not a comment in the chat, but a comment on the video. A comment on the video helps our video get out there more and more frequently and more reliably. Hitting that like button, even if you hit the dislike button, actually, but hitting that button helps our video get out there more reliably and more thoroughly. All right. So thank you much. And all of our social media is /Thought Riot Podcast, except for Twitter. Twitter is the only one that is /Thought Riot Pod. So hop on there and join us. I will, as we're talking right now, post our Discord and Patreon invite in there. I always suggest to people, if something were ever to happen with YouTube and we went down, have a backup for your Thought Riot podcast needs. Join the Discord or the Patreon, where you're going to get updates and you're going to be able to follow along on any of the new videos coming out. You don't have to rely on YouTube notifications, which is reliably unreliable. And all those other platforms that we use to update people, they are reliable. We do it every single time that we roll out a video. So I will post those now, and we will continue getting back into it.
Yeah, everybody wants to hear your theory.
Okay, I'll do that first. Don't let me forget to post those. Or I don't know if you have the Patreon. You can post the Patreon and an invite to Discord. So Patreon, invite to
You
Discord.
got to do Discord.
YouTube
I don't.
membership.
I'm not sure how to do that. You got to show me how to do that.
Well, okay, here's my theory. All right. So there is something in network technology and wireless technology specifically. It can be done in all network technology, but wireless is the biggest target. There is something called cloning a phone. Okay. And what you do when you clone a phone is there's two ways to do it. There is the lazy way to do it, where all you do is you copy or duplicate the SIM card of a phone if that phone is on GSM networks. So GSM networks are different than CDMA networks. CDMA networks need additional data to connect a device directly to the network. GSM networks only need a SIM card that can be transferred between devices and things like that.
Try to say it super layman. Okay.
Okay, with a SIM card, that is the little baby tiny card. I don't think I have any laying around anywhere.
It's just a little chip that goes in your phone.
Yep, that little chip allows your phone to communicate with the network. With the network, I mean Verizon, AT&T, US Cellular, T-Mobile, any of the prepaid services. You cannot have service on your cell phone without that. It works for tablets, it works for smart cards, it works for computers, it works for security cameras, it works for everything. It works in your car, literally everything, you guys. So the lazy way of cloning a device is duplicating the SIM card that is in Bryan Kohberger's phone. Now, this is tin hat, to be clear, okay? I want to be clear. There is no evidence of this right now. But if you got Bryan Kohberger's SIM card number, I could duplicate that and stick it in my phone. And every data that's going to Bryan Kohberger's phone would now go to my phone too, simultaneously. It tricks the network into thinking that these two separate devices are one, and it's going to send the data that it's sending one to both of them, okay? Now, what could that mean in an investigation that's using fog data science? It could mean if a device is off, one of the two, that it's going to say that the main device is wherever the duplicated device is, right? If both of them are on and it's phone ghosting duplication, it's going to show the network as being unreliable. It won't show that there's two devices. It will show that it's unreliable. There's a flaw there. So that's the lazy way to doing it. Now, there is a high-tech way to copying phones too, okay? And that is where you copy the actual device itself. So, with a phone, where's my phone? With a phone, okay? So, right, Apple phone, um if somebody had my phone's identification numbers and everything in it, they could create a mock phone that has the same serial number as my phone, that has the same all the identifying numbers. Essentially, it would be an identical to my device exactly, right? So when it's talking to the network will use the same identifying numbers like the IP and things like, well, not the IP. The IP is the one that would be different, but it would use the same identifying numbers like the serial number and all of that, and then you would copy the SIM card on top of it. So you would effectively have literally two exact devices copied. Now that is much harder to identify than the previous one. The previous one's a little bit easier if you know what you're looking
Okay,
for.
so what's your theory if the phone was cloned?
Uh, that is the theory. Is that possible?
Is that Bryan Kohberger's phone was cloned?
Yeah, or anybody's that's involved in this case. And the reason why I bring that up, like I said, I don't have evidence, okay? There's no supporting evidence to this. But with my knowledge of technology, when I'm reading a PCA, especially with all that it added on details that's added onto the Pennsylvania uh, warrants, it makes me think, okay, what are other possibilities? What are other probabilities? Where could this case go in a technology direction that would be strange? Because this is already an oddity. This entire case is an oddity. So to not at least chew on the possibilities of the oddities in a case, I think we're all doing ourselves a disservice here.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So based on everything that we see in their tracking of Bryan Kohberger's phone, everything seems very scattered.
It does.
Very scattered. That the way that they track his phone is very uncommon, like, very uncommon.
It's also weird how detailed him going to Albertsons was, but, like, that's, like, the most
Nothing
detailed
else.
yeah, that's the most detailed part of the PCA is when he went to Albertsons. When he went grocery shopping.
Yeah, and I should have said it like that, Catacomb. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's not impossible that this could happen, but is it probable? We shouldn't go down that path unless we have evidence, right? But it is possible. Absolutely. And this is just high tech crime, you guys. Happens all the time. I think it happens a lot more than people would believe. Not when I say a lot of time, I mean like I've seen it regularly in my positions at network companies. But if you put it to a statistic, like an average, I mean, the people that have the amount of education and technology to be able to do this is probably one in every 100,000 people at most, like at the absolute most. People don't know technology like that. It's very rare. There's very few people that know technology like that. But what's scary is that people that know technology like that know how to get in contact with everyone else that knows technology like that. That's the one scary thing about it.
Hmm. I'm curious if they're gonna use fog data in the trial. I honestly don't think they will. I
Nope.
think it'll be similar to, how we're seeing the IGG being used and
Yeah.
that they're considering it just a tip. And they're going to try to cover it up with legitimate tracking, like search warrants into background app data, like trying to get a cast report made. Because clearly the cast report isn't finished, considering Ann Taylor only has a draft of it. Um, I think they're gonna try to cover it up with legitimate science, instead of using the fog data. So I think it's gonna be the same exact thing as we're seeing with the IgG. But I almost wonder if Ann Taylor has any indication of it.
I have no idea. I assume so, and the reason why I assume so is we know that like 10 different people that watch us,
BK, Kohberger is the phone expert for his own case. That would be so funny.
that would be funny.
He'd go up there
But
and just show up everybody.
we know people have sent our 2 videos on the background data, fog data, and cell phone data to Ann Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was CC'd on multiple.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So I don't know. I will tell you that I couldn't be an expert because of the content that we've put up.
I know somebody
Because I'm
said
so critical of law enforcement in
Yeah.
this case, I would present as biased, so she couldn't use me as an expert. She could use me to investigate, but I couldn't be an expert. Like, she couldn't call on me to be an expert.
No, there would, have to be somebody who's considered impartial. But that is, like, good information that I hope she is aware of so that she can look for it, you know, like, look
Yeah.
for any indications of a company like Fog Data Science being used.
Mhm. I'm trying to find that,
I'm curious if she watched the videos. I know somebody else sent a video of ours to, Chief Fry.
I know they did.
I don't remember what it was about, though.
Look, Chief Fry is padded in this situation, all right? He,
Colleen, I've heard stuff like that, but I don't know all of it. If you have more, like,
okay, there we
sources,
go.
you should definitely send them to us, 'cause I've heard that.
Alright, here we go.
Brendan knows a little bit about it, but
What?
I'm not gonna have him talk on it till he's ready to talk on it.
Okay. Alright, so
That the system was down that night.
yes, I do know quite a bit on that. As part of because you have to know networks to know, like, what was going on with the network that night, and it was down, but there are a couple different statements that went on, and I'll forget if I don't say this. There are a couple different statements that happened that night. So the university says that it was an update to their system. However, when you look at the history of the network connection, it is not it's not showing, it's not appearing how every other update has appeared with this school before. Okay, there is almost what you would call a third source data. So just imagine the school's network as a single unit. Just imagine this as being their single unit. Okay, in order to update their software has to go down, data has to go through the network, and then it can rebuild itself. Well, normally it will either download on the background and then go down and then rebuild itself, and that's when it goes down. However, this time it wasn't down, it was up. It was it just wasn't visible to the general public, which is really weird. So it was like there was a mask for I'm trying to figure out how to explain it to where it makes the most sense. So it that night's update was like there was a mask covering the U of I's data point, and it was being controlled by a separate data point.
By, like,
There's
somebody's computer?
another device. I don't know. It's not like you can look at an IP address and be like, oh, that's somebody's computer. No, you have no idea. It could be an iPad. It could be anything. I don't know. I don't know. It could be the government. I don't know.
Cheryl said system maintenance hibernation.
Yeah, it didn't look like that though. The only thing, and we've went over this before, it wasn't a registered user. So
it was unauthorized, like Colleen was saying?
not necessarily. You got to be careful saying that,
Okay.
because unauthorized is making the assumption that that other connection point wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know if it was supposed to be there. There could be some kind of approved access to download and update the system, the software. That could be possible.
Okay.
So, yes, hibernation, great example. That is exactly the word that I was going to. It was absolutely acting like it was hibernating and not visible to the general public. So yeah. But okay, so going to this is my double negative that we were talking about in the video. So listen, as part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilized cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Okay, everyone got that? So they requested, according to them, all the data of the devices connected to the cell towers closest to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Weird.
That doesn't make sense.
No. They're leaving out like a huge part. So they're saying we did a search warrant to see all the devices that were using the cell phone towers near the home between 3 and 5 a.m. And then they just literally skip to Kohberger has a white car and this phone. And we've confirmed that and reviewed the search warrant returns.
Right.
And then looking into his phone, he wasn't using the cell towers.
Right.
Anywhere near the home that night between 3 and 5 a.m.
So why?
That's literally what it says. It says he wasn't using the cell towers that night between these times.
Dude, that is like the most manipulative sales tactic in the world. I mean this over here, but I'm talking about this to make this seem like this. That is so shady.
It makes no sense.
Hey, guys, we pulled all the cell phone data for November 13th, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that 8458 was not there during that time on that night, we associated it with Bryan Kohberger, who also has a white car, therefore is guilty. What?
Yeah, there's a huge gap here. It makes you question. And then he says, based on his training, people turn their phones off when they're about to commit a crime. That's what he goes on to say after that.
Yeah, I could verify that.
It's like, so then how did you find his phone?
Exactly. That is the exact question, is how did they have 8458?
Well, apparently when they found his car, they got his phone number from looking him up through his license plate. So I wonder if they looked and they were like, okay, well, we know he has this car and this phone, but we don't see it in any of the search warrants. So he probably turned off his phone.
Exactly. It is so shady.
It feels like a huge stretch. Yeah.
It's literally maneuvering and manipulating pieces to make them fit an argument that isn't fitting. Like, okay, Kohberger could be guilty, you guys. I just want to be clear. I want to be very, very, very clear. We are not somebody who is out here fighting for Bryan Kohberger's innocence. He could be guilty. Absolutely. He could be guilty, and the police did an absolutely horrible job. And that is very scary because then a guilty person could get out. Bryan Kohberger could be innocent, and the police did an absolutely horrible job. And we're now going to have a fifth victim on our hands and a real killer still out in the general population and ready to end more people. Like, the two outcomes of this situation is concerning no matter how you look at it. These aren't I want to be very clear. These things that we bring up night after night after night after night, digging into every little microscopic meter of this case, are not concerns because we believe Bryan Kohberger is innocent. They're concerns because we are digging into the investigation, and these are objective points of interest that they shouldn't add up this way.
Agreed.
Like, there's issues.
Yeah, the problem with the PCA is they're not taking you from point A to point B. Like, it's not a linear line, as literally Ann Taylor was saying in court. Is I can't figure out how they got to Kohberger. Like, there is no linear line of we followed this evidence and it led to this and that led to Kohberger.
You know,
it's all over the place, which is a huge indicator. This is a parallel construction.
Yeah, I agree.
There are there's a different investigation that went on that is hidden.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
That's what parallel means.
I understand it's what parallel means, but it can also mean that that for whatever reason there was other evidence that they're trying to hide or don't want that evidence out there because it could have been gathered by unjust ways of investigating.
Sure,
but
yeah.
Here's another thing to do with this wireless that's just very easy to talk about. Okay, so this is a double negative. Why did they put it on there? It doesn't apply to Kohberger, and it doesn't sell their point of why and how they got to the 8458 phone. So we can only assume, like Malia said, they got to the 8458 phone once they realized he had a white car, and then finding out who that white car was registered to. Therefore, I guess they made the connection to the phone. I don't know. I'm drawing connections here that I don't feel like are realistic. But
CH said his parking permit for WSU would be connected to his picture, address, phone, car, program, and employment. Also, J. Ray was mentioning that, and when he got pulled over that time, he gave them his phone number, which then the cop could probably see from looking up his ID. Like, doing a query into him, they'll see he was pulled over and they got his phone number, which that makes less sense to me. But
I don't think they put your phone number in their system. I'm pretty sure. I can triple check that.
I don't know, but go ahead.
I'll make a call and triple check that because I'm not sure. But the other thing that's in this PCA that blows my mind with the investigation is, in the PCA, it talks about the 12th connection.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
And that's another double negative where, why did they put that in there? They said, on the morning after the crime, we see that Bryan Kohberger's phone pinged in this area, but we don't believe Bryan Kohberger was in that area.
I know. It kills me that
Why?
mainstream media literally keeps saying he returned to the scene of the crime the next morning when they literally say in the PCA it's not reliable.
So why put it in there?
I don't know. It's weird.
Why would they put this in there? Why would they put that in there? That whole argument against people that believe he's 100% guilty and they have so much more evidence. If they did, they wouldn't be using tactics like this.
Agreed.
I don't believe.
Yeah.
If you have an overabundance amount of evidence, you don't need to use tactics like, hey, just put in the 11 times he was there. No, actually, put in that he was there 13 times, but then we're only showing that we have evidence for 11 because that sounds better.
Except to people like us.
Yeah, well, I gotta be honest, most people don't have the network experience that I have.
Yeah, but also look at mainstream media. Like, even people who don't have that network experience have been calling that out. Like, you're literally disqualifying your own evidence. Like, I've heard
With
so
that
many people
12th
say
one,
that.
yeah.
I hear so many people say that aren't experts in that, in network stuff. And then you have mainstream media going around saying he returned like it's a fact.
I really hope that and this is another one of my concerns here, you guys, is that they're going to do a trial by ambush. And that's why they want the trial to be quick. And that's why they're not sending over all the evidence. Because look, if I'm the defense attorney
Do
and
you want to blow us back up?
if I'm the defense attorney and I am not a lawyer, you guys, I'm just interested in law, but I am not certified. Oh, I have another comment to say after that, actually. But if I'm the defense attorney, I want every single one of those times that your investigation said that my client was in the area, okay? I am then going to take every single one of those times and I'm going to cross-reference my defendant being in that area. Then I'm going to dig into, hey, what did you eat for lunch those days? What did you buy and where? Can we prove any of these 12 times that you weren't just driving through Moscow because you always followed this big loop when you went driving at night, but you stopped to get lunch, right? You stopped at the food truck, maybe you stopped at that other restaurant, the vegan restaurant, or has vegan options restaurant.
Mad Greek.
Yep, the Mad Greek, or any of the other stores in that area. Can you provide receipts using your bank card, anything, right? That any of these 12 times you were there shopping? Because if he can, I think literally all those 12 times could be thrown out, therefore making zero connection from a technological standpoint that he was ever connected to that house.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's guilty, you guys, I hope they don't figure out a loophole like that, but I don't think they would.
No, I
There's too many
definitely
eyes on
don't
this
want
and
somebody who's guilty getting off on a technicality or some kind of legal loophole. That's not justice, but it's just it's scary to think if they did a botched investigation or obtained things illegally that, a killer could go free. Or if he's not the guy, a killer is free.
that is the most scary.
That
The
well,
most scary.
Well, I don't know because I think it would be equally as scary if Bryan Kohberger is guilty of this and he gets out because we have many accounts of killers getting off on their first or second or third crimes and then going out to just escalate and do more horrible, outrageous things like Nathaniel Barjona, like Ted Bundy, like so many who kept just, you know, like you look back and you're like, what was the court thinking? What the heck were they doing? Like this guy so obviously did it and should have been locked away. And they let him go every dang time with just probation or, got out
Yeah,
early on a technicality.
but a lot of times it is the police's fault.
Yep. It
It
is.
is the
It's
police's
not the
fault.
court usually, it's usually the police.
And it tends to be when they're looking at a case or situation, very subjective and with a lack of evidence, supporting evidence. And it's concerning.
Yeah, so did you hear about that new documentary that supposedly came out? And I have not seen it. I don't even know who's in it. All I know is that it covers basically content creators who they're calling sleuths.
Yeah, someone was
And
trying to say we should be on that.
well, I
That's
saw
super funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Honestly, I don't even really know what it's about. I just start thinking about it and I saw somebody saying that it kind of like they should have cast a light on how the speculation of these people online, how damaging it can be, and how journalists a lot of times don't really respect. I don't even remember where I saw this, but journalists don't respect content creators who are reporting on social media, because journalists are held to certain standards and people on YouTube are not. And I call total BS on that, because I have
Of
seen
course.
many
That's just
accounts where
subjective argument.
journalists lied on their own, but also because it's obvious, you guys, there's a reason people don't trust the news anymore.
Well, they
And
don't follow
there's
science.
right.
Yeah.
It's all, a lot of it is all subjective and editorial opinions and things like that. But in not saying that social media is any different. That's my whole point. It's the same. But anyway, I journalists may be held to certain standards, but the news, there is no legal obligation for them to tell the truth. There is none. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that report. This it was a journalist who was looking into milk or something like that, and she found a bunch of issues in the product, like in milk and the production, and she wanted to do a full piece on it and tell the truth about it, but she literally wasn't allowed to. They were like, "You are not, you're gonna talk good about them. You're not gonna air any of this." And it turned into a big lawsuit matter, but they wanted her to lie. And that is a normal occurrence because the people who owned those companies, that owned those like farms and stuff like that, also owned the news corporations. So I call complete BS on that. Like, I don't think journalists, I mean, yeah, they went to school and I respect their career. Like, there's some really incredible journalists out there and investigative journalists, like really incredible ones. But a lot of them also see the value in social media and are turning to social media to do their journalism. Then they don't have to be held to all those ridiculous standards that they are. But it's not even just ridiculous standards. It's that they're not allowed to speak out against companies, corporations, or say certain things because it affects somebody else's pocket. And they're totally allowed to lie, especially when their bosses are telling them to. I wish I remembered the name of that documentary. Yeah, I used to like Vice back in the day when it was still like mostly just on the internet and not on TV. I honestly, I don't have cable anymore. I don't have anything like that, so I don't even know how to watch it. They still have some pretty interesting documentaries come out on YouTube though. But yeah, I had a major issue with that. I just don't, I mean, people who come on the internet because it's a passion and they care, even if they're making money from it, but they like actually want to do it as a career, I don't see them any different, honestly, than a journalist. I think this whole idea of you have to go to school, um, it just doesn't apply to every career path anymore. Not everyone has to. Yep. Yeah, Chronicles of Olivia, she does a good job, for sure. The name was Cyber Sleuths. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I honestly didn't even know the name of it. I just heard about it randomly. I had no idea it was coming out. I didn't know nothing about it. We do need more investigative journalists. We do need more. Some
You know what?
investigative journalists have come out some with incredible stuff in the past. What that lady was gonna do with the milk industry was going to be, like, a huge deal for society.
You
She
you
was essentially whistleblowing.
you know what somebody left a comment saying, and I think they meant it bad, I'm not really sure. They were like, "There should be a requirement that everybody state their credentials before every video." I Yeah, that's a great idea. My credentials are I'm a citizen of the United States of America, and I own the justice system along with, the other 100 million or whatever, 300 million people. And that's it. That gives every single person a right and should be invested in these things. It might sound cheesy, but that's the facts. That's the facts of it. And if people are out here and they're concerned with corruption, and people are out here and they're concerned about their justice system, and they see things that are being handled in an unfair way, do you know the best thing to do is to talk about it? One of the greatest people that ever walked in this country was Martin Luther King, and never did anything violent ever. It was all talk. And he is known, yes, partly because of what he was fighting for and the time he was fighting for it, and because he was black, but he's recognized because of what he said when he was talking about those things. So for someone to
Well,
come out here and have that expert bias that, oh, you need to have credentials to talk about this. Not true. I mean, somebody with credentials can come on here and talk with me about it, and we'll debate all day long. But the truth is I have a learned knowledge in these things because I care about them, and they're my country and my justice system, and yours and yours. And as cheesy as it sounds, that's true. And I think what we're lacking as a whole is the interest in these institutions, as we're being pushed further and further
you're not
away from them.
qualified. The problem is that people think you need to be qualified to have an opinion.
Yeah,
There's a
the
reason we can
qualification is that you're a citizen.
exactly. That is the only qualification to have an opinion, and that's why anybody should be able to vote. I really think that people need to look at Martin Luther King as more than a civil rights leader, because his message was important. I think a lot of people could learn from
Well,
it.
the way he
Learn
presented his message is what's important to me.
right,
Yeah.
the no violence, the passive approach, but steady. Like he was consistent.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was it was it was it was strength.
Mhm. Yeah.
And a lot of people would see that passiveness as a weakness,
Yeah.
but it was immense strength. Think about everything they endured and never never became violent. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, I think that
that's
I agree
hard.
with you. And what's interesting is people like our show gets targeted, and I think some of the issues which, luckily we get to sidestep them, but some of the issues that we've had with our channel is probably mainstream media related. People that can speak up without having some kind of expert credentials, right? And I mean, my credentials are in technology and network technology and all things related. But when it comes to an interest in the justice system and police and crime and anything related to our country, people like us and our show are dangerous for mainstream media.
Yep.
They're dangerous because they allow people to realize that you don't need that the politics doesn't need to be involved in these topics that you enjoy. I A lot of people watch our show, and part of the reason with our breaking news, and I understand it's not coming out literally right when it's breaking, but it's breaking news because it's being reported on by mainstream media. And what we do is take the politics out of it. We're not going to highlight, like, oh, this was a colored person, or the way that mainstream media does. Or we're not going to highlight in this crime that hey, they had a gun, so there needs to be more gun control. No, we're going to take the politics out of it, and we're going to present on the crime itself.
Right.
And that's where our niche is.
Hey AR, I hope you're having a good night.
Hey. And but I think that's a really important niche to have. I
Yep.
truly do.
Yep.
You know, people get tired of hearing the politics involved, and mainstream media, every single one of them is related and tied to politics. Every single one of them.
Yeah, I know. Everything is about politics.
And people are tired of it. They can't stand it anymore. They want to be able to watch shows and watch content that they enjoy that doesn't include these other ideologies and beliefs that are being force fed down their throats, you know? It especially the Idaho 4, you know, and some of the political points that are involved in that case even. And I've seen them reported on many times, and I just don't think that there is any benefit to highlighting the political points of the Idaho 4 case. I feel like the victims are what gets lost in that situation, when even in our show I'm guilty of it, that we're so focused on the investigation and verifying that it was an honest, reliable, trustworthy investigation, that, you know, the focus comes off the victims sometimes. But that tends to happen when you're trying to be hyper objective in science. You intentionally don't pay attention to the end goal. But the important part is that it's all about finding real justice for the victims.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you the problem with being objective is if you get too emotionally invested in the victims of the crime or the perpetrator or anybody involved, it can bias you and make you not see things clearly. And I truly care about the victims of the Idaho 4 crime. It's tragic. It's horrible. Like, they were literally just starting life, like real adult life, figuring out what they were going to do with all of it. You know, it's such like an exciting but terrifying time in somebody's life. Um, but they deserve to have it. They deserve to experience it. Like, I so badly sometimes wish I could go back to all of my firsts, you know? Like, life was super exciting in those days, even though it was super scary. That's kinda what makes it fun, is that it is scary.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just sometimes I can't think about them too much, or else
I mean, there's an
it makes it
endless
too
amount of
hard.
firsts, though, in life.
That's
An
true.
endless amount of firsts. There's no such thing that somebody has the ability to do everything.
Yeah, but
It's just,
that's
do you have the guts to keep pushing
yeah.
those firsts, you
Yeah,
know?
but that wasn't the point. It was,
Yeah, I get it. I get that living in those firsts and remembering them
I'm talking
is.
about them. They deserve to have it,
Oh,
to
the victims.
experience it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. And that was stolen. I didn't realize you were highlighting like what was taken from the victims. I agree. And that's why I find it so important that we talk about the families in a respectful way. And I'm a firm believer that we can talk about any topic, literally any topic, as long as you're talking about it respectfully. And that includes the remaining two roommates or victims, however you want to call them. It to me, it doesn't matter if you call them survivors, victims, or the roommates. They're just two people that made it on the other side of this really awful situation alive, right? And you can talk about them and the concerns we have around the 8-hour period, the fact that they were texting during the crime. All these things can be talked about as long as we're being respectful in the way that we're talking about them. These are real questions that need to be answered. These are real questions that people have, and questions don't make somebody guilty.
No, the 8-hour time gap is vital to figuring out what went on here, in my opinion. Like, it is one of the most important questions that needs answered. Because it could
Absolutely.
be totally innocent, or it could be not. It
It,
could who knows? What if the perpetrator literally, like, gassed the house or something?
I
Like, and
absolutely that they were asleep or something
it's innocent
crazy.
on their part, the survivor's part, but not, like, obviously the person that came in there. So like Dylan could have woken up from it and been totally out of whack and have no sense of time at all. And you know what I mean? Could have thought
Yeah,
they were there for 10 minutes, but were actually there for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? So I
absolutely.
don't know.
I
I don't know.
do.
I'm just,
And
it's an important question.
it's an important thing to remember too when we're talking about this, because do I have concerns around the timeline of the two surviving roommates? Absolutely, you guys. I have major questions that I really need answered. But do I also look at do I value them as people? Absolutely. And I think that's why that level of respect is deserved, is because, like, if we want to get all cheesy here, and if I want to show my true hippie colors, like, I appreciate all people that are human beings, and I think all human beings deserve respect, and I think we are absolutely incredible, and the things that we've done and have done together are absolutely incredible, right? However, those feelings around people, all people, does not mean that people that made mistakes can't be held accountable. And that's where that conversation around these topics come in and why they're important.
Yeah.
Just because we care about people does not mean that those people can't be held accountable and should not be questioned. One of the best accountabilities are peer accountabilities,
Yep.
social accountability, peer accountability, people seeing what you're doing in a non-secretive manner and judging for themselves. And that is absolutely important.
I'm glad you're feeling better, AR. I think he said he had COVID.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's rough. And I know you have type 1 diabetes, which I think COVID is worse for people that have diabetes. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, because the immune system suppression and all of that. So I'm glad you're getting better. That's rough.
Yeah, the lawyer, I hope you're getting better too, because especially when you have an illness like that, and then you have something like awful,
A
the Rona,
virus.
it's
Yeah.
horrible. But Phil, I know I'm super happy to see the lawyer blow up, and I do believe that that's where we're gonna go, is we'll blow up like that. There are a lot of mainstream media advocates out there. There are people that watch us every single time, that have nefarious intentions. There are other content creators that are jealous, and they hold people back, and I know the lawyer experienced that. There is a point where you come out on the other side of YouTube statistics, where if somebody flags content, no matter how long, no matter how many times it gets flagged, you're on the other side of that. There's no way it could get flagged enough times that it's going to slow down your growth. And you just have to make it over that point. And I think that people that aren't depending on income, like, man, we don't make $1 from this, you guys. People that aren't depending on the income of content creation, like, okay, you're just making it take longer. But the growth methodology, when you're looking at it from a mathematical statistical standpoint, it's a spring. Being held back is a spring. The more you're held back, that tension pulls, and then once the breakthrough happens, it just skyrockets. That's exactly what we see with every larger creator. That's what we saw with the lawyer. I see it happening, with our content too. When I get the call that we've been flagged, it the very next day after it's been reviewed by a person, our subs are doubled. So, like, it does nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's silly to mass report.
Oh, I don't care if we
Y'all
get
should
big.
stop.
The only reason I want to be able to get big is because it'll allow me more time to put into investigating, which will make the quality of the investigation better. But, if I'm being honest with you guys, I have a pretty lax job. you know.
Yeah, this is like a passion project. It's something fun we look forward to.
Yeah.
Like we said from the beginning, we want to like learn with everybody, and yeah, we want it to be organic growth, of course. Like the way YouTube has changed their stuff anyway, if it's not organic growth, you're screwed.
I agree. I
You're screwed.
agree.
It has to
There's
be
no such thing
organic.
as non-organic.
I
I
mean,
mean,
there has been for many years because people could buy subs and views.
yeah,
Now
well,
it's changing to where if those subscribers aren't active, they get kicked. Like you don't get
yeah,
to keep those subscribers if they're not actively interacting with your channel.
right, right.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, non-GMO.
And we'll get there. I mean, so there's even been periods where, you know, there's been multiple people who have flagged our content. It doesn't really slow us down. Like, okay, you've made some of our views on some videos go from, you know, 6K to 2. Okay. You know, it's not a big deal. And what's interesting is the content continues to get pushed after the fact. Like every single day I have a plethora of comments coming in from older content. So like if someone really wants to put that amount of time into trying to false flag a channel, that is on them. I it makes me feel bad for people like that.
Yeah.
Because they're living with like, I just hope that they're okay, because to live with that kind of jealousy and that kind of like hatred or anger, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, so I saw people saying that several of you, Colleen and Megxcellent, did we ever shout her out? She just became a member.
Oh, I don't
It
think
was way
we
earlier in the
did.
stream,
Oh
and
my
you just
gosh,
kept
I'm the
talking and
worst.
talking and talking
I'm
and would not
sorry.
be quiet.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Not a good representation. But we really appreciate you. That is incredible. We're super stoked to have you here. And I apologize for
Yeah,
not coming through like I should have.
but
Super
I
lame of
saw
me.
several of you saying that you like that there's no mods, which I was like, Brendan, we need mods. And he's like, you know how many people have
No,
said they love that we don't have mods? And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, there's like most of the community doesn't want mods in the live chat. And I was like, oh, okay.
because they feel like
And
there's bias with mods, but
I I didn't realize that was the experience because I often do not join in live chats. Like when I consume content, I'm usually not watching lives live. I usually just don't catch them live. So I
bam.
don't get involved in the live chat. But also, I think that we have a lot of long-term viewers here that care about the chat. So when there's something going on and they already are aligned, like there's a lot of you that really align with our set of beliefs. And I've seen several of you, and shout out to all of you, that when somebody comes in here and is having a hard time, you guys reach out to them and try
Yeah.
to support them
Hmm.
and say, hey, what's going on? And a lot of you love the chat and care about it being constructive, and so you guys kind of manage it yourselves, and it's impressive, to be honest.
It is.
It's very impressive.
It's
Um
very impressive.
and then there's people that come and say something nasty, and most of you just like either say, "Hey, be nice," or ignore them, which
Yeah,
is the perfect response.
absolutely.
So I don't know. I feel like our chat does really, really well
Yeah.
on its own, and there's a lot of you that manage it super, super well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're welcome. I just gave 5 memberships, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Hope you enjoy them and have a good time with them. Um I I probably shouldn't share my ideas yet because there's people out there that like try and beat people to it. But we do have some really awesome ideas coming for members only, and it's actually going to be daily videos. So hopefully I'll get that going soon. I will tell you guys, just to be completely transparent, right now is just a super busy time. I don't know if you guys have watched any of our past content. Like if you watch the video around the 4chan theory, and look at the type of editing I did in there, and then you look at our work now, the editing is very different. I invested a lot of time in my editing, but right now I just don't have that ability because I just recently changed careers, and this new job has a lot of training, a lot of physical training and traveling and going places. And they had me flying all over a week ago, and I have to fly all over again in another week. And maybe once I get back from that, we'll get back to editing in that way. I'm not sure, but I don't know, because does that editing take away from the ideas? Because the goal of the show is to highlight the intelligence of Thought Riot podcast and its viewers, not us, but the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you could just put up a picture here and then when something's important for the viewer to see, and other than that, I don't think you need much fancy editing, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I would like to have you put up a poll and asked, like, people what they thought about it?
No, because I don't want to create expectations when I can't do that editing right now. Like
True.
I just can't. I don't have time. I told someone that I was talking about that yesterday, where someone was talking about get a clue, right? And the fact that we shouted out what's their name again for the button snap info?
Clopenny.
Clopenny. We shouted out Clopenny, but my experience, so I don't have time to watch videos right now. And that wasn't like some kind of stab at Get a Clue or anybody else involved in whatever drama was going on. I just only have my experience with that information, and all my experience came from Clopenny, not Get a Clue directly. So it not talking about Get a Clue didn't mean that I had something against him. It just mean I didn't have any thing to say about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But shout out to Get a Clue, because I did watch his video after the stream, and
Is it good?
it was good.
That's
He
good.
relayed the information really well. And I thought it was great.
That's good.
I think honestly a lot of content creators could benefit from just ignoring people.
I
Just the people who aren't serving you, okay, who aren't nice, like, AR Hayes joins in the chat and he's super nice and we get along with him, you know what I mean? But we
I mean,
can't.
who do we not get along with,
That's
though?
true,
Like,
that's
you
true.
really have to be a
Yeah.
mega jerk for me to not get along with you.
Yeah,
I
but
get along with everyone.
that's true, but if we wouldn't get along with somebody, we just don't act like they exist.
Yeah.
And
That is true.
I suggest that for anybody, and I think that if there's people that are bothering you, do not ever mention them.
Yeah,
Don't
just don't
talk about
them,
them.
period. Mhm.
Ignore them
Yeah.
entirely. Just some advice, because it saves us a ton of headaches. Like, if you
Mhm.
just don't care, like, don't let those people live rent free in your head and take up like, don't let them take any mental space. They
So
don't deserve it.
but so you know what's strange? What I found out since we started creating content is uh I've said this from the beginning, okay? And it is not an ha ha, like I'm better than you. It's not like that. It has nothing to do with that. But I've said from the beginning that uh, there is not anybody out there in the world, not a single person, not one, that can say something that will bother me. Nobody in the entire world, right? And you know what's interesting is a lot of people hear that and they see it as like, well, you just never met me, you know what I mean? And that's not even what it's about. It's not I'm bigger than you in a way that you're so small that no matter what you say, it can't get under my skin. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that it's easier for me to lean on objective science and information, right? And science, when I'm leading into it, and I have a Bachelor of Science, science says facts are subjective and they can't be believed, right? So that is, any words that come out of people's mouths are subjective. But what's interesting is most people believe them as fact because they are their own personal experience. So in a situation like that, where I have my facts and personal experience and this other person has their facts and personal experience, there's no way usually to make one person believe your facts over their own. So then when somebody's trying to like write hate or troll or whatever, I'm never discounting that that is their facts, right? If you want to think that I'm abusive in the way that the way that I talk to Belia, that's your truth. That is your facts. However, my definition of abuse is very different. And yes, it makes me laugh because I think it's silly, because there are people out there that are horrible abusers. And to call my tone abuse is, it's silly, okay?
No,
It's silly.
you interrupting me all the time is abuse. I try to interrupt him and he thinks that he lets me, but he doesn't actually let me. Anyway, yeah. I just we understand each other pretty well, though. I at no point, no, I take that back. I feel very abused. Just being honest. I feel very abused. I'm just kidding. Not really. Help me. Now
Yeah.
people are gonna start cutting that. Like, he's really abusing
Blink
her.
3 times if you're being held against your will. Yeah, there's a reason why you guys can't see the bottom half of the screen. You can't see the giant chain around her ankle.
Yeah, I knew that, Heather. I know that idea had been floating around for a while, but Get a Clue and Clopenny together put in a ton of work on that, and looking into it and stuff. And you know, I understand the feeling, but I don't think anybody should ever call anybody out. I don't, and it's not because they don't deserve it. It's because, like, you're wasting your own time and mental energy on something that just isn't fruitful.
Oh, I did know the hand signal. What? Oh, wait, isn't this it? Is this the hand signal? Right? Thumb?
Oh yeah.
Is that it?
Is that no?
What's the hand signal?
There is that
Look it
help
up.
hand signal.
What is that?
If I could even type right.
I think it's this, right? Thumb.
That. Yeah, it's this and then that. You're supposed to do this.
Okay.
There was like some girl who got saved from a car. Somebody abducted her and she did this out the window.
Yeah,
and somebody
so you're supposed to do.
I'm literally doing it.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally doing it.
Okay.
But she got saved because people, the person that saw her knew about it from TikTok.
What does that mean?
It means help me.
Oh,
I'm in trouble.
I didn't know if it just had like a legit meaning of like abduction or something.
It means you're in dire need.
Okay.
Like you need help immediately.
I got it. Okay. Well, that's good to know, you guys. So just remember that. Remember that this means.
So if you see somebody doing this out of a window in a car, call 911.
Yeah, right away.
I think a lot of people know that already because of that story that came out with that girl that got saved, the TikTok story.
Wait, TikTok?
People knew of the person who saw that girl making that sign knew about it because they saw it in a TikTok video.
Oh, she wasn't on TikTok.
No.
Oh, okay.
She was in a car. She was like in somebody's car.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. But what if somebody does that on social, like on YouTube? do you think people would see that as like trafficking or something?
I mean, like, if Britney Spears were doing this, I would say call 911, somebody get my girl
Oh, geez.
help.
Okay, but what if like somebody was in the camera, right? And
And Brennan got up and went to the bathroom, and I was like,
right, like legit though.
yeah.
It is that enough for police to be like, okay, we legitimately have a problem?
I think they would come investigate,
I
yes.
hope so. I hope so. I was watching something and it's super subjective, right? Because I don't know the background of it. And it was on social media, but anywhere, anytime, see, that's good. That's good. But you guys don't play around with that though. I would not do that joking. I understand we're joking about it, but it's because we didn't know what it meant, right? We had no idea what it meant. So
We're not
it's
joking, I was showing
it's a
it.
training. Yeah, but we're having a good time talking and learning about this.
Yeah, but I wasn't joking, I
that
was
doesn't
showing it.
that doesn't that doesn't devalue the importance of that. So if I'm presenting this and I'm having a good time talking about this, it's important for people not to think that it's a joking manner, because I think you're right. If somebody did that signal for real, right, without recognizing they're doing that, I think it could be taken very seriously. So I don't want to be creating content on here and have somebody watch our video and then do this joking to their viewers. Like, this is a very serious thing, a very serious hand signal that needs to be used in a time of need.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. It's
So,
like a SOS.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's good to know. That's good to know for sure.
Yeah, it is. For sure.
I think that oh, what I was saying, what I saw on social media. So I just recently saw on social media where there's this like advocate that tries to help like human traffickers and kids, and things like that, in a situation. And there's this text message that said, do you need help? Very clear. And this person wrote back and said, I'm in a really bad situation right now. And then that person wrote back a couple more times and was like, you need to say that you're being held against your will or whatever in order for me to get law enforcement to be able to intervene here. And that person took it to law enforcement, and law enforcement refused to do anything. Yeah. I don't have evidence, you guys. I don't have evidence.
That's horrible.
So, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that. Oh, oh, that really hurt.
You almost fell off the stage.
I did. I was moving my feet and my foot slipped and I just scraped all the back of my foot. That was wonderful. I don't know how you can
Mrs. Doubtfire voice. That's
how
hilarious.
can you fall while sitting? It would only be me.
Oh, I'm
Help is on the way, dear, in the Mrs. Doubtfire voice.
what's funny is
I love that movie.
if
Still,
if they
now.
got help here, they would find out that, we don't live here.
It was my ankle shackles. You're right.
Yeah, help would come and no one would be here. I'd be super angry, but that's okay. I got cameras everywhere, and I'll talk to the police through the cameras. You guys better not mess up my electronics in there. But yes. Yes, yes. Trafficking is serious stuff, man.
Trafficking's scary. And the
people get
worst
away
part,
with it.
they do. And the worst part is I feel like trafficking isn't talked about enough for one, but also isn't explained enough because a lot of people think it's just kidnapping. And it's not just kidnapping.
Yeah,
They
it's
use a
not.
very manipulative, coercive tactics on people that, like, it's insane.
It is everywhere and at all levels. Everything from like a really good example is like, people from other countries will pay somebody to bring them over here and think everything's okay, that they're just paying for a trip. But on the way, they're like, hey, we need your passport so that we can get approval to bring you in the country. And then once they get there, they don't give them their passport and they tell them, like, you have to work here and you have to work here at this wage. And it ended up costing extra to bring you over here that we didn't originally know about, and you have to work that off now. And then they get stuck, dude. Or there's the obvious really bad ones, right, where people are being like
Or
physically taken advantage
yeah,
of
there's
for
the kidnapping
awful
thing, and
reasons.
then there's that one girl who just thought she made a friend and went to the bar with her, and the girl offered to pay for everything, and then she was like, "You owe me," and
Yep.
drove her to a strip club.
Right. Right.
And it just escalated from there, and she
Right.
was just like, you owe me," and then she started, like, threatening her family and friends and everything, so that she literally, like, forced her into compliance. And there's a lot of ways trafficking happens, and it can happen from the most, like, somebody you literally think you're making friends with, which is terrifying.
100% agree. It
Also,
is.
boyfriends, dating a new boyfriend, that kinda thing. It's just you gotta watch out for stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think that anytime anyone feels trapped in that way, just go to the police, dude. Like, do not ever, ever be worried about feeling dumb or being embarrassed or looking dumb. Like, do not ever think like that. Never. If a police officer makes you feel dumb for you going and asking a question of, hey, Wait, in this situation, am I being trafficked or is this okay or whatever? Dude, shame on that police officer. Shame on him or her. Shame on them. That is not okay. Ever, never. I think if anyone's in doubt, they need to contact somebody. And
Yeah.
we've shared those numbers before, the 800 numbers before.
Mhm.
And I'm just an advocate where if you're in doubt, you should ask somebody and talk to somebody. And I just wish we handled, trafficking better. I wish that we handled SA, the sexual based abuse better. I wish we handled a lot of those things better, right?
Agreed.
Regardless of how our society looks at these things, and if we look at them in a really messed up light, okay, but at least our institutions can be evolved enough to handle these things, you know?
Mhm. We don't do enough about it, unfortunately.
It's not even that I think they don't do enough for it. I do think people care and they think they're doing something for it, but I don't think they've understood I don't think they understand how how trauma like that manages itself mentally.
What?
Okay, so here's a good example. So let's say a woman, okay, and I'll use the example around the Greek life. So we know based on the 4chan theory and our research that 1 in 3 women that are involved in the Greek life are assaulted sexually. Okay. So in a police force now, take a sidestep here. In a police force, 90% plus. It's actually 95% in most places, but 90% plus police officers are men. 98% of police managers, so people managers like, lieutenants and above or whatever, are men. So 1 in 3 women in the Greek life get assaulted. All these male police officers, and we're expecting this person that got assaulted in a way that is already gonna make them feel unsure and unsafe in front of any man, let alone a man with a high level of authority and a ton of them, and we're expecting them to go into a police station and share this story?
Yeah, they need to always have somebody who's like a victim, somebody who's trained in, dealing with people who just experience trauma and are a victim, and they need to have multiple genders there to do that.
I I agree with you. I also don't think they should be expected to go into a police force. I've suggested this from the beginning that
Oh, like some kind of separate center. Yeah.
yes, they need to have a man and a woman there and have them rotate similar to like defense attorneys, right? A lot of times defense attorneys are not full-time defense attorneys. They take cases randomly and they still have their own law office and things like that. So when it comes to abuse claims where it would be beneficial for a man who was abused in some way to talk to another man, or a woman who was abused in some way to talk to a woman. They should have this station like away from a room full of male cops. Because imagine a man now who has gone through that, and the way that men judge men in today's society, you think that they're going to feel comfortable walking into a police station where it's all men in there and saying, "Hey, I was taken advantage of by a woman in this way,"
Or another man.
or another man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be hard
It's not a conducive atmosphere for these
for
problems.
talking about your trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I think we miss these little nuanced things, that a lot of people wouldn't know unless they had been through it. And hey, what's up? Art of Deduction. We have another content creator swinging by to say hi, and he does awesome work. Check him out. He always hops in. Well, not always, but a lot. He comes in here a lot, and we love his work, and you guys should check him out for sure. But what's up? But yeah, I just think that it could be managed a lot better, I really do.
I think you need to water the cactus. It keeps saying in the chat how thirsty it is.
Yeah, it is like drooping, but I don't think cactuses droop. I think they shrivel, which is funny.
Yeah. It is funny.
Yeah, a shriveled cactus. Oh, Spike Lee.
That's the name for the cactus?
That would be a good name.
Spike Lee Green.
Yeah, Spike Lee Green. Or spineless.
What?
Spineless.
Oh.
Spike. Shrivel. Call him Shrivel. That's funny. Yes, cactuses need love. Are you serious?
Pot Riot Thought Plant? Oh, the Thought Plant.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's how I look or like whatever, but as long as we've been creating content, so many people comment thinking I'm a pothead.
It's because you're always wearing that weird hippie stuff.
You think so?
Yeah, like you never used to wear that kind of stuff until recently.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about? Everything that I have now, I've always owned.
No.
I had surf class. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it was different.
No.
Now you're like, you just look for hoodies that have like hippie things on them.
Not true. I look for things that I've always worn. It's either been that or band shirts.
I'm just kidding. It's fine. But
That
I
or
think the
band
way
shirts.
the way you dress could definitely give somebody the impression you're a pothead.
I
But
don't
he's
know.
like the furthest from a pothead.
I do not smoke pot.
Neither do I.
I have nothing against it though
Me
at
neither.
all. I
Me neither.
support it. I think it should be legal. And you guys, I wish I could smoke pot. I really do. It smells so amazing. And
No, it
like
doesn't.
I think it does. And all the benefits it has for people, but I can't handle the anxiety. I think it is my ADHD.
No, I can't handle it either. I would eat edibles, but I don't because I just can't.
I love the smell of it. Like,
I
love
don't.
it.
Yuck.
I like the smell of it pre-smoked and smoked like while it's green.
Pre-smoked is better than when it's smoked, but
I really wish I could smoke weed, but I don't.
no, yeah, I don't have anything against marijuana at all.
And you gotta I'm a corporate guy working in relation with corporate America. So you know, in corporate America, the Fortune 500 companies, the Fortune 100 companies, most of them have like stipulations where if there is some sort of driving involved in your job and you were to test, you could get in trouble, you know?
AR said he's never smoked before. I mean, in the past, I smoked a ton. Like
That's
I
wild.
definitely used to, but it changed for me. Like as I got older, I guess I had a freak out once, and then every time after that it was a freak out and I couldn't stop it. You know, it just now there's very certain strains that I'm okay with, but it's few and far between.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats on that sober 10 years. We have a lot of experience with sobriety and family members that have been addicted in one way or another. And sobriety is very hard. So that is incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing job. Let me
You get too good of ideas when you smoke. That's funny.
you know what's
That's how I
strange?
feel. That's how I feel too. I think of some pretty crazy stuff.
So I don't want to go political here, but it involves politics. All right. So,
Okay.
you know what's strange is 2020 is the year that we've gone back in time. So in 2020, the Chiefs and the 49ers played Super Bowl together, and Trump was against Biden. Now in 2024, the Chiefs and the 49ers are playing Super Bowl again, and Trump is against Biden.
That's super weird.
Yeah,
Maybe Trump is a time traveler.
maybe.
Kohberger's a time traveler too. They probably traveled together.
Maybe if Trump were to get elected this time, maybe the first time he was elected was really his second time in office. After his first, and he traveled backwards.
Yep, there you go. See, we don't even need pot. We can talk like we could talk like that without it.
Should I put on my actual SoCal
Your actual SoCal
voice?
what?
No, I won't.
Did you look?
What?
Jesus.
Yeah. For sure. Well, you should have said something. Malia watches the chat better than me. But she just highlighted that you want to do a live. Yeah, we absolutely can. I just the only thing right now art of deduction is we want to do lives with people and everything like that. Right now, my schedule is I am so thin. I am stretched so thin because I just started a new job and there is a ton of training, like a ton. I've already been training since December. And I still have multiple weeks to go, but let's reach out on Twitter. And I know I fail at responding. But just throw me like some times or something like that, and we'll see if we can make it work. It might need to be after I'm done with training in my job, though, which could be a few weeks. But I'm definitely interested, aren't you? Yeah.
We still need to have AR on too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that. I know. It's the job change, right? I took some time off, so yeah. Yeah. I don't want to get into all that, but I've been stretched thin for a long time because I got all of December off, and that's like family time, travel time. But yeah.
Started with surgery for a lot of people.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Oh,
Yep. Well, I think truly the OxyContin company was to blame for that. They were proactively going around and talking to doctors and saying, "Hey, we developed a great new formula. It is impossible for anyone to get addicted to this stuff because of
yep.
this coating that can come off from you going,
I know
what?
it was so
It's
ridiculous.
controlled heroin. What do you that
Yeah.
is absurd. You're telling me you did no testing on this stuff?
Right. They didn't care. They knew. They just didn't care.
So they started handing it out to everybody because a doctor being a doctor is like, yeah, okay, addiction's a real problem. This is really great. Plus, you're paying me bonuses for using this instead of Norco or Lortab or Percocet or any of those things. Great. We're battling two things at once. Lo and behold, you
Yeah.
know.
True secret, there are some people who can just stop and not have a problem. Those are people who aren't addicts. Like, some people they get put on the medication and then, they have to stop and then they go through the withdrawals and they just can't deal with it. Like they just can't. Those are the addicts.
Yeah.
There's issues with obviously genetics
Coping.
and coping skills and trauma. It's a mental illness for a reason, and some people get triggered by certain things. But that's literally what makes the difference. Because I've seen tons of people come off of it, like because they had to take it for a surgery, and they didn't care at all. Like they're like, I just feel a little sick. And then
Yeah.
other people who are literally freaking out, like I need it now. Like there's
I-
a major difference.
I'll shoot you a message on Twitter and let you know for sure.
Yeah, the fentanyl crisis is scary.
Or if you're on Discord too, we're on Discord all the time too. That's a good one. Cause Twitter, I am not so much. It's normally when I'm sitting in front of a computer. But yeah, for anybody else that's on here, just a reminder that what we posted earlier, we will post again, and that is our Patreon. If you would like to be a supporter, you can be a supporter financially on Patreon. However, we have a free tier too on there. So if you just want updates and you want to know what's going on, Patreon is going to be one of the spots. The other one is going to be Discord, and Discord is always having a great time on there, and people in there talking and communicating. And we have a bunch of content creators, a bunch of bigger content creators on there that it's a good time. It's a good time. So here I will. You have to have an invite link though. And another suggestion I have for you guys with Discord is if you get on Discord and you're like, "Oh my gosh, how do I manage this? How do I deal with this? What is this? I suggest you go on YouTube and search up walkthrough for Discord. There are some really good videos on YouTube that give you a walkthrough on exactly like how to manage, change, maneuver Discord and everything involved with it. But you got to have that invite link that I just posted that for some reason is not posting to YouTube. Are we paused on YouTube or something?
It posts. Oh, yeah. No, hold on.
There
Yes,
it
it
did.
posted.
Okay. Okay. So I just posted it on there. You got to have that invite to hop in there. But it's a good time, and you also get live updates when we are going live. What I usually do is we have a 5-minute opening intro on our videos, and I will post in there like, "Oh, hey guys, it's go time." And that way, you know, it alerts everybody. We got 5 minutes till the video starts. So, check it out. Hey, and then we got another true crime content creator. All right.
Hey, Dago.
Dago coming in to say what's going on. But yes, so yeah, so in Discord, that is my suggestion. I forgot where I was going.
Yeah, Discord's really good about the alerts, though. Like, really good about the alerts.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you post the premiere and the live stream alerts in there every time.
It's helpful.
It
It's
is.
helpful, man, because YouTube is very biased platform. And I don't mean they're literally going on there and selecting who can be seen or not, but it's biased in the way that the code is built, and it has to meet all these certain criterias to match whether they're going to promote it or not, you know. So yeah, it's easier
Look,
for
Frank.
Oh, hey,
His face popped up. I was like, oh.
it's easier for us to promote our videos when they're coming live on those platforms where you know it's going to be reliable every time, because it's required, you know, for us to physically put it in there. So, but yes, let me see here.
I've literally never had a surgery. That must have been rough, J Ray.
Oh, geez, you haven't?
No, I've never had a surgery.
Dude, I've had like
I had my wisdom teeth
a lot.
my wisdom teeth taken out, if that counts.
I've had like 15 surgeries. Oh, that's awesome. We should post our Reddit too. Reddit's another big one, and so is
Oh, maybe
Twitter.
maybe Truth Seeker. I didn't think about that. Like, maybe he was doing those drugs to, like, fit in with a crowd? But the only thing with
I have
that
a theory with the drug use.
the only thing with that is that if
brain surgery.
if
Whoa.
if BK was, because it is odd that he got on them and off them and, like, was using needles, like, that's, like, pretty
I
odd.
hear you.
But the only way I would believe he's doesn't have an addictive, like, addiction disorder, is if we had some kind of evidence that the things about him having OCD and staying up late and cleaning aren't true. You know, like, there's a lot of things about him that I think he probably does have an addictive personality, and like his writings from when he was a child, that like weird disassociated state he was in, I can relate to, and I've also seen in addicts. There's clearly some kind of trauma there. Who knows what it was? There's some kind of issue there. I just don't know if it means he's a killer. Like, I don't know if it I don't know, like, there's so many addicts. Most of them don't become killers. So even though it is, like, kind of a red flag, it's not enough. That's why I was looking for things like to see if he was a peeping Tom or, you know, other forms, like if he got into any kind of, you know, altercations with people in any weird situations. But like the tickling thing is the only thing I can find like any kind of actual evidence for.
Yeah, and
So
I think that part of the reason that people don't understand, like, the severity of the needle thing too, is you guys, a needle user is a very big jump, okay? And here's an example. I've known
yeah.
people that were addicts for 10 years that never used a needle, and then somebody that was trained in using a needle, because you can't just pick up a needle, you guys. Like, I'm not gonna walk you through how to do it because I'm not gonna have that on my back for people that might watch this and one day have a bad day or something going on or whatever. But it is not easy to use a needle. You need to know what you're doing in order to use it effectively. And I knew people that somebody used a needle on them for them and they didn't know how to do it, which it's easier to use a needle on somebody else. Like, it's easier not to do it yourself. But then they just started being a needle user that had somebody else always do it for them. And once you get to the point where you're a needle user and you're doing it yourself, like, that's a lot of steps in progression. Okay. And it is very rare for somebody to be like, yeah, let me just go straight to using a needle. Okay. You're jumping a ton of steps. And I can only think it's one of two things. Either he was friends with someone that had been a longtime needle using addict, and for whatever reason was like, you're dumb for using that. This is the only way to use this dope, and it's got to be like this. And he was literally forced into it.
Well, not forced, but there was incentive there.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So heavy incentive there, right? And
Maybe peer pressure.
and that started it, but it's so rare because there's a level of fear and concern and the unknowing there. Because here's the thing, you guys. Using a needle is a risk every time you do it. In order to be able to effectively use a needle for dope and not be at risk of losing your life every single time you use, you have to have a very serious tolerance. I mean serious. 10 times the normal person. 15 times, 50 times the normal person.
You can't just go to using a needle, you'll OD.
Correct. You will OD because dope has different strength levels. Some people test shoot, some don't.
Yep.
It's just so rare.
Pulmonary embolisms, and like any kind of embolism in your arm from not using correctly. Like, I saw a guy in the hospital once where his whole forearm was swollen and bruised and infected. It's bad if you don't know how to use it, and it hurts immediately too. Like, I know that I had an IV one time go, and it was not in the vein because I have very, very tiny, hard to hit veins. Like, the hospital always has trouble when they're trying to put anything in me. And it started swelling up my arm, and it hurts immediately. Like, it's so painful when it starts leaking into your skin.
Oh, I don't remember that happening to me, but
You've never had that happen to you before at the hospital?
maybe I've been around people that have
I've
shot
seen
up methamphetamine and it literally was like a bubble under the skin, like a giant.
Well, that's what happened to
bubble.
me with the IV. And I had a huge bruise there. Thank God it was only saline. So the fact that it was saline and not something horrible, like meth or something, it dissipated. It hurt for a while, but it wasn't like dangerous,
Yeah. I'm
but
just glad I'm not around like
yeah,
that kind of stuff in
me
life.
too. Me too. But yeah, it's super dangerous if you don't know how to use one and you miss the vein. And even if you do make the vein, like, I've seen people get heart infections and stuff. Like, it's pretty like, needles are too much of a risk. But Dago, I agree with you that the tickling was an awkward attempt at physical interaction or like affection. I do think that too.
Yeah, I agree. And we just talked about that recently, where the tickling is
Exactly, our deduction.
it's just an inexperience, you know? It's an inexperience. It's clearly, maybe he doesn't have a lot of game when he's not on H, you know? I don't know. So there, I don't know, but
I've seen a
it's not damning, you know?
no, it's definitely not. Being awkward does not make you a killer. And if that's the worst he ever did to that girl and she rejected him, as I saw you guys saying in the chat, I mean, come on. There's no women going around saying, you know, they were stalked by Bryan Kohberger,
Yeah.
which is what I would expect to see is people coming forward saying he's a stalker or he's a total weirdo creep or you know anything besides just like tickling or him supposedly getting kicked out of some program, and we don't have anything factual there really discussing what happened there.
Yeah.
So I
She
don't know.
survived rejecting him, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you're weird and awkward like that, I feel like you should lean into it.
Yeah.
Like, don't try and hide it. Just represent your weirdness, you know? You got to rep it. Yeah, I'm weird and I'm a nerd and,
Well,
you
art
know?
of deduction said the tickling's how his relationship started. Well, you know,
No way. That's great example.
I don't
Real
know.
life
He
example.
might be joking and or meaning something else, but I remember as a teenager having tickle fights with boys.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like maybe he's just a bit immature.
maybe, maybe. Yep.
Y-
It's very possible. Yeah, he said not a joke. It's totally possible. And you know, I've known people that are like super into tickling. So
Yeah, there are some people who
look,
love tickling.
whatever your fetish or kink or interest or whatever you want to call it, like it doesn't matter. Whatever it is to you. If it's tickling, great. It's not killing people, you know?
Yeah, and some girls do kind of suck at setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Like if you know, yeah, if you're not into somebody, just don't lead them on. Just be like, no, bye. See you later.
Yeah.
Because that weird wiggle room where the guy feels like he can push, you don't want that to happen. That's when
No.
bad things happen.
Yeah.
You don't want him to feel like he has wiggle room if you're not into
No.
him.
No.
No wiggle room.
Then guys also feel like they're being misled. It is so much better if a girl's like, "Look, I don't feel any chemistry here. I'm not feeling it. So, I'm just gonna go home, you know. So I'll see you later." And that's it.
She
But I
invited him
do
to watch
not,
a movie.
if you
Yeah.
guys go on a date together and it's a date, right? Not
Right.
a friend date, but a date, I would not ever suggest being like, "Look, I don't feel any attraction, like, I don't wanna kiss you, but we can still hang out." Don't ever do that. If you're not attracted like that, just make it very clear, like, "Sorry, man, I don't feel anything, I'm gonna go home." You know? That's my suggestion, but,
Frank said it's not that serious. Jeez.
I mean,
About the tickling.
if I'm
He
not
wasn't talking about you. He's just mentioning there are people who like tickling like that.
if I'm not
Not that anybody here does.
yeah. Yeah, if I'm not into you, you're not coming inside, right.
True. I mean, picking apart his life isn't going to amount to anything because nobody's perfect. That's exactly correct. That's what I was
Oh, for
kind of
sure.
trying to make the point of with the peeping Tom thing in that video is that there is nothing major in his past that indicates anything.
I
There's
agree.
nothing. People
Mhm.
people could look back at my history and point out similar things and think, "Oh yeah, she could be a killer." You know what I mean? 'Cause like I had a pretty messed up childhood. So, I mean, there's just nothing major there. And by all accounts, he had a pretty good supportive family that held him accountable when he did stuff wrong.
Yeah,
which is
really
super
happy.
important.
It is super important. And a lot of times the people that you see that do crimes like of this magnitude, it's because they weren't held accountable.
Yep.
And they didn't understand the bounds of general society. So
yeah. So I mean, I don't think his past, unless something new pops up that is major, that he stalked people or something, or was a peeping Tom, or hurt somebody in the past, assaulted somebody in the past. Unless it's something major like that, there's nothing in his past that indicates that he could have done this crime. And is it possible that he still did it anyway? For sure.
And I agree, Jennifer. I think by all accounts he looked normal. You're right. I agree. But here's the interesting thing, and I think this is what Art was talking about too, is like no matter who you look into, they can seem like the most normal person ever. Nobody's normal. We all have weird things about us. We're all weird. Some people are more weird than others. You know what I mean? Right here. But by looking into the past without having any of these key identifying red flags like aggressive criminal backgrounds, pushing boundaries in a way that made others feel uncomfortable, or trying to be have like a power or authority over people, like it's just uncommon, no matter how you swing it, But yes,
yeah,
he
that's
still could be guilty.
true.
We just don't know.
True, Dago. There's probably more YouTubers with a wilder past than BK.
Yeah.
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 For sure.
He has a more normal past than I do. That's for sure. I would say. But
think him calling the cops to get unlocked out of the chained forest in PA like 3 a.m.
he did?
Wait, what?
So he called the cops to get unlocked out of the chained forest in PA. I'm going to have to research that because I don't know what the chained forest is. Is it just a forest that is chained off, or is there something to it? Or someone, okay. Colleen saying, yeah,
Oh, it didn't let her finish.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Regina, we'll keep an eye out for
Yeah.
your follow-up to that.
I did not hear about the hockey stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, there's some crimes that don't always make sense, our deduction. That's true. I feel like this was so planned to be done in the way that it was done. Like,
this would
it
be the
either
rarity of the rarities, but it
Yeah.
totally is possible. It would just be so rare. Man,
It would have to be
crime-
somebody close to them that already knows the layout of the home, or it has to be a stalker who planned it in depth.
Not only that, but this is an obsession crime, meaning the suspect obsessed over committing a crime like this, which is relatable to mass enders and serial enders. And in order for that to happen, there was some sort of planning. And, the police saying it was targeted.
Well, maybe it
the
wasn't
fact that-
planned, but if it wasn't planned, then the person had to know the house.
If
Like,
it wasn't planned, then the eyewitness account, that means that that person was already there. I feel like that's the only way that it could be unplanned, right? Otherwise, if you're in the car driving and you're driving there, I feel like that's planning too, Did she post any more about it? No.
There's people kind of following up.
He went jogging. Okay. He parked his car and went in the woods. Okay.
It wasn't 3 a.m., was it? It was after dusk, and he had been out on a bike ride. The gates get locked at dusk, and he had to call police to get his car out of the lot. Okay, what day? He parked his car and went into the woods? What day was this on?
He went jogging.
Yeah, and his car got locked in? He got locked out of his car?
Okay,
So
that's
the
interesting.
close the front gate to the park. Okay.
Then we need to look and see if there's any peeping behaviors around that area. And
What area?
wherever that park is, I'm not sure. I don't know. This is my first time hearing about this, so I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, most crimes like this are committed by people in the inner circle.
Mhm.
Dago, that's absolutely correct. I've been thinking that like the whole time, to be honest, is that it would make more sense for it to be someone in the inner circle, but it doesn't necessarily mean it couldn't have been like some Ted Bundy guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ted Bundy, I mean, obviously didn't plan. He just went for it. I do think the person had to know Kaylee was in town because it's really odd that they waited until she was there. Like, why the one weekend she's
The
back?
midnight jogging is strange. I got you, but midnight jogging doesn't make me feel like a serial ender as much as it makes me feel like some spy stuff.
He did a lot of I knew he did a lot of midnight jogging.
But to be fair, like you could have sleeping problems too. You know, I do a lot of midnight crawling, you know, that's not that uncommon.
It does go along with his alibi. What if that's the way he stalked people, though? Like, if you look at it from the flip side, is he
No,
parks his
I
car
got
somewhere
it.
and he jogs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I just do. Yeah. I'm a night crawler. I do a lot of midnight crawling.
When did this guy sleep?
I mean, I literally only sleep what? So I sleep 5 hours a night. Like, it's been like that for years.
Okay.
So
Doesn't seem like BK slept like at all.
so I'm thinking with him, you just got to squeeze in that amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So 5 hours is pretty easy to squeeze in there. And you know, so there was a time where I was running all the time. When I'm running all the time, what's really strange is I need even less sleep.
What?
Yeah, I do.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't sleep much either. I don't. The less I sleep, the more I'm on my game. All right, from the Independent, Mr. Martin said his office sorted through a database with more than 6 million police reports and case files, only finding one instance in Mr. Kohberger called 911 when his car locked behind a parked gate. Mr. Martin said that Mr. Kohberger's exchange with law enforcement was uneventful and that he was apologetic. Yeah.
Dago said he's only slept 2 to 3 hours a night for 20 years.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I really
That's
don't.
wild. Oh, you were with the fire department, so you were like a firefighter? That makes sense.
What's his name? Crazy hair dude, the scientist who helped create the atom.
Einstein?
Einstein didn't sleep at night. He took power naps throughout the day, which roughly totaled about 3 hours a day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, oh, my watch just hit. I need to take my 30-minute nap. I'll be back.
What, that's just how he made the most use of his time?
Yeah. I don't I don't know. I don't know if it was just a theory of his that he was trying to prove that it worked. I don't know if it was health related. I don't know. I wish I did know. What's the benefit in taking 30-minute power naps? I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
not sure.
Oh, the article was trying to dig through cold cases for possible links to Kohberger.
Oh,
Yeah, some people's minds are more active at night. That's true.
yeah. Right.
Mine definitely
The
is,
Sigmund Freud
but
diet, right?
if I don't sleep and I have to get up early in the morning, I don't have a choice. If I don't sleep, I'm literally dead to the world.
I'm
I will just fall asleep driving. like like just pass out.
I'm an advocate for drug legalization. I believe that all drugs should be legalized and we shouldn't make criminals over addiction. We should be trying to focus on and solve the problem. And the problem isn't the fact that it's a crime. The problem is that there's some kind of traumatic issues going on with that person, or the inability to cope with stressful situations, or inability to manage themselves effectively in social situations, or lacking in some other area. And if we if we legalize, not decriminalize, if we legalized every drug and then focused on the problem of addiction and drug use. Portugal right now is having overwhelming success. Their drug use rates have gone way, 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 way down. Their violent crime and gang rates have gone way, 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 way down. Like all crime across the board is dropping.
Well,
At
and
first it raised, but
the
then it
death
went down.
rate,
Yeah,
the
everything.
addict percentage, the death from drugs, everything got better.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, Colleen? I've known several people with ADHD who talk a lot in their sleep. And J Ray has a question. This is gonna sound dumb, but if my roof is creaking because there's a bunch of snow on it, could my windows break? Or like, how likely is that?
No, no, they won't. They won't. But I like that idea that like pressure on it is gonna make it like a balloon, but no, 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 it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Like someone would have had to build the house. Uh Someone would have had to build the house like very wrong, okay? Because and I can prove it to you. So how walls are created, everything is done and angled at for a specific reason, okay? So the 2x4s are done horizontally. So if there's pressure coming down on that 2x4, it is not going to bend outward. It is going to bend inward or the other way. And then you have 2x4, 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 2x4. And if you're in California, that spacing should be 12 inches, but at the worst, depending on the house year, it could be 18 inches. It's usually between 18 and 12 inches apart. So that's a lot of 2x4s that it's got to go through in order for it to bend a wall to break a window. So no, but a
Oh,
roof can cave in.
well,
That can happen.
Dago, you fit in perfect here. We even have an ADHD emote.
Yeah, yeah. I have severe ADHD.
He said he has severe adult ADHD and OCD.
Oh man, yeah.
I hope you found stuff that works for you so you can conquer it. Cause ADHD, like he is a honestly, it's incredible how he uses it to his benefit.
Yeah, I don't see it as a hindrance. I see it as a superpower, but it causes problems in my life in other areas.
Yeah.
But the benefits I have, I figured out how to manage it,
I had to stop
luckily.
drinking caffeine. It was causing too many heart palpitations and chest pain.
Oh, it's a roof
Caffeine.
window? Then yes, a roof window can break.
Oh,
Is that what we're talking about?
is it like a skylight or whatever it's called? I thought she just meant regular windows. house was built in 1930. Well, houses were built really well back then.
Oh, you're asking if one? Phil said he's asking. If it's a roof window, yeah, it can break in snow, but it shouldn't still. Yeah. My
Phil was asking. Phil was just asking J-Ray if it was
my
a
roof is 6-inch plexiglass, so you can just see the sky above my house. My entire house is 6-inch plexiglass on the roof. My house has actually been in magazines because it's one of a kind. So when you look up, you can just see the sky.
True.
All right, you guys, that is the show tonight. That is everything. You've got it all. We gave you everything, left it all on the stage, left it all on the
internet.
Yeah, that and YouTube chat. So we appreciate all of you, every single one of you. And if you appreciate the show and have a good time being here, please hit that like button. It does a lot, more than I can even explain. Please leave a comment under the video, not in the chat you're in right here, but under the video. That does a lot, more than I can even explain. And we appreciate you guys for everything that you do. As always, Thought Riot Podcast is growing and growing at one of the best rates that I've seen since last November when we were doing, 2,000 subs a month. So that's all because of you guys. And we appreciate you for that. You guys are incredible and super smart. Like, I know a lot of people write to us like, I love your show. You guys are intelligent. It's not us. It is not us. I am not smart. It is all you guys, baby. And you guys leave such good information and comments and questions and thoughts and opinions and theories. And we just like talking about them so everyone can hear, and spread the wealth here. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all. And I don't know what Brendan said. People are teasing you. Apparently it was really silly. They couldn't tell if you were serious or not. But I wasn't even paying attention. But yes, thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate you a ton. We will be back here live on the True Crime Talk Show Sunday at 9 p.m. Yeah, and have a good weekend. We're going to be recording the podcast and have
tomorrow
new stuff this upcoming week.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be some good ones.
I said anything silly though. I'm not sure.
It was about the window. I said a skylight, and I think you explained it in like a really obvious way.
No.
Or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I was just telling them about my roof at my house and the plexiglass. But anyways, we appreciate you all. And we did the Discord invite. And you can find us on all the social medias at /Thought Riot Podcast. And except for Twitter, we are /Thought Riot Pod. But we appreciate you all, every single one of you. And we will be back tomorrow with the Long Forum podcast.
No, we won't.
Not live, but we will be back with the Long Forum podcast tomorrow. And back on the True Crime Talk Show on Sunday, like Malia said. We appreciate you guys and see you all next time. Hit that like and comment.
Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be safe.
See you later.
Bye.